Chapter 1475. 1475 The Sect Master of the Sky Demon. Sect The Grand Master of the Sky Demon Sect was an overlord in the Azure continent. He was someone who could shake the entire Azure continent with a single stomp of his foot. He was as famous as the Dragon God Valley Master. Senior Im Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped forward and cupped his fists. The Grand Master of the Sky Demon Sect smiled faintly and said, "Kid, you're quite strong. You've actually cultivated a chaos domain. That's even rarer. Many thanks for Senior's praise." Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, "N." The Sect Master of the Sky Demon Sect nodded and looked at Xian Yanqing with a doting expression. "I won't object to young people falling in love and dating each other." The Grand Master of the Sky Demon Sect suddenly changed his tone and said, "However, you are still at the golden age for cultivation. You should prioritize cultivation. Although your talent is not bad, your cultivation is too low. In the vast Yuan continent, it is nothing. Without cultivation, you can't truly have freedom. Little guy, do you understand?" "I understand." Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Also, Nianqing has a heaven-defying appearance and an innate demonic body. But because of this, there are many people who covet her. With your current cultivation, you're too weak. Can you protect Nianqing? The Sect Master of the Sky Demon Sect continued. Lu Ming frowned slightly. The Sect Master of the Sky Demon Sect's meaning was clear. His cultivation level was too weak. "Master, I've been through life and death with Lu Ming all this while. I believe in him. He'll definitely rise to power and won't let anyone hurt me," Xian Yanqing said. "Silly child, you are too naive. How can the divine wilderness continent be compared to the Yuan continent?" The Sect Master of the Sky Demon Sect said. "But Master," Xian Yanqing wanted to continue. "Nianqing." Lu Ming interrupted Xian Yanqing and said, "Nianqing, Senior is right. The Yuan continent is countless times bigger than the divine wilderness continent. In the Yuan continent, my cultivation is indeed too low, and I can't give you much assurance. However, I will definitely work hard to cultivate. When I rise to the top in the future, I will truly be free and unfettered in the world. So Nianqing, you should cultivate in the Tianyu Demon Sect. One day, I will accompany you to conquer the world." This was Lu Ming's true feeling. Ever since he came to the Yuan continent, he understood how small he was. In the divine wilderness continent, a martial emperor was high and mighty, an overlord of a region. But in the Yuan continent, they were the most common existence. They could even be said to be ants. In the Yuan continent, true experts were as common as clouds. Lu Ming had even seen a true great emperor. That was the real horror. Only by stepping onto the peak of this world could one truly be free and unfettered in this world, not being controlled by others. At this moment, Lu Ming's spirit soared. His goal was not the Saint Realm, or even the Great Emperor Realm, but the peak of the world. An indescribable confidence exuded from Lu Ming. "What an unruly young man. I'll wait for you to rise to the top. Go." The Grand Master of the Sky Demon Sect waved his hand. "Master, I would like to give Lu Ming a paragraph," Xian Yanqing said. "All right." The Grand Master of the Sky Demon Sect nodded and took a step forward before disappearing. "Lu Ming." Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming, a hint of reluctance in his eyes. "Silly girl, I'm here to see you. I'm going to leave after I'm done. I can't stay in the Tianyu Demon Sect forever." Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and laughed. "Besides, the Tianyu Demonic Sect is not far from Dragon God Valley. I can come and visit you again when I have time," Lu Ming continued. "N." Xian Yanqing nodded gently. Holding Lu Ming's hand, they walked out of the Tianyu Demon Sect. Soon they were out of the Tianyu Demonic Sect. Xian Yanqing was still reluctant to see Lu Ming off, and wanted to send him off for a while. The two of them strolled through the air, neither too fast nor too slow. Half a day passed just like that. "Little Qing, you should go back. If you continue, you'll have to send me to Dragon God Valley," Lu Ming said with a smile. "Lu Ming, don't blame Master." Xian Yanqing said softly. But before she could finish her sentence, Lu Ming had already kissed her on her red lips. The two of them hugged each other tightly, as if they were going to merge together. After more than 10 minutes, the two of them separated. "You don't have to say much. I know. Believe me, one day, it'll definitely become Ling Yun. When that time comes, no one will be able to stop us. Lu Ming smiled, then took out a black bangle and helped Xian Yinqing put it on. It was the bracelet that Lu Ming had obtained from the Emperor's secret realm. A holy weapon? Xian Yinqing murmured, his eyes slightly red. Silly girl, go back. I'm leaving. Lu Ming kissed Xian Yinqing's forehead lightly, then turned around and left. Lu Ming, it'll work hard to cultivate too. I'll be with you when you're on the top of the cloud. Xian Yinqing turned around and walked towards the Tianyu demon sect. Buzz! Lu Ming spread out his body and flew through the air, letting the strong wind hit his face. One day it'll definitely rule the world. Lu Ming roared, his voice reverberating for thousands of miles. It would be a lie to say that he felt comfortable during the trip to the Tianyu demonic sect. It was fine if it was the younger generation, but in the end, even Xian Yinqing's master appeared. Although his words were not sharp, his attitude was clear. Lu Ming was too weak now, and was not worthy of Xian Yinqing. He should try to stay away from Xian Yinqing. This was the intention of the sect master of the Sky Demon sect. Before he came to the Yuan continent, Lu Ming had not expected that Xian Yinqing would be chosen by the sect master of the Tianyu demon sect as a direct disciple, and even become the holy virgin of the Tianyu demon sect. As such, there was some interference between them. Lu Ming was angry. However, he knew that the Grand Master of the Sky Demon sect was right. His cultivation was still too weak. Now that he was with Xian Yinqing, he couldn't be free at all. What could he do if a peak martial emperor coveted Xian Yinqing? Strength, everything was still strength. He needed powerful strength. Ever since he had formed the Dragon Alliance, dominated the Divine Wilderness continent, and killed De, Lu Ming had actually relaxed a little. Although his heart to pursue martial arts had not changed, he did not feel as much pressure as before. Without pressure, he would lose the courage to move forward. Now he felt a strong pressure on his body. Buzz! Lu Ming streaked across the void and moved forward at top speed. The vast land flashed past in the direction of Dragon God Valley. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's heart tightened. He felt a strong sense of danger approaching. Without any hesitation, black wings appeared on Lu Ming's back, surrounding him in the middle. Whoosh! In the sky, a demonic blade seemed to cut through the entire world and slashed toward Lu Ming. Clang! The demonic blade slashed at the black-feathered wings. Lu Ming was sent flying, as if he had been hit by a mountain. Lu Ming only managed to stabilize himself after flying for tens of thousands of meters. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The Tianyu demon sect. Lu Ming's eyes were sharp. In the sky, 6 figures descended and blocked Lu Ming's path from all directions, surrounding him in the middle. Chapter 1476. 1476 Chapter 1476. Ambush. The 6 figures exuded a terrifying aura. They intertwined with each other and blocked all of Lu Ming's escape routes. 5 7th-level martial emperors, and 1 6th-level martial emperor. Lu Ming's pupils contracted rapidly. One of them was a young man with long hair that fluttered in the wind. He carried a demonic blade on his back, and looked like a young demonic god with an overbearing aura. This person was at the 6th-level martial royal realm. The other 5 people's faces couldn't be seen clearly. They were covered in a pitch-black demonic light, and their terrifying auras shot into the sky. These 5 people were all at the 7th-level martial royal realm. The Tianyu demon sect really thinks highly of me. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he stared at the young man. The blade just now had come from this young man. He was a terrifying heaven's favorite. You've injured our Tianyu demonic sect's prodigy, and disrespected our holy virgin. You think you can leave so easily? You're too naive. The young man spoke, his killing intent as cold as a blade. Ehe! The Sky Demon sect is one of the 13 top sects in the Azure continent. Is this all you can do? If your peers can't beat you, you'll send someone stronger to kill you? Lu Ming sneered. Anyway, you're dead. No one will know about this. The young man's face was still cold and calm. He stepped forward toward Lu Ming. With every step he took, an extremely powerful pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. His mind was spinning rapidly, thinking of a way to escape. Lu Ming, It'll give you a chance to hand over the cultivation technique you have, and I might spare your life." The young man said, a hint of greed flashing in his eyes. He was there when Lu Ming and Jin Yu fought in the Tianyu demon sect. Lu Ming had actually defeated Jin Yu's level 5 territory with his level 2 territory. He was very curious as to what technique Lu Ming had cultivated to have such a terrifying territory. "Oh, if you want my cultivation method, you have to tell me one question. Who sent you here?" Lu Ming said. The young man's eyes flashed, then he sneered. "I just wanted to kill you." "Alright, speak." "Kill." At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly roared and rushed toward the young man. He flapped his black wings, and a gust of wind swept toward the young man. His 2 wings were like 2 heavenly blades, slashing at the other party. "You're looking for death." The young man coldly spoke. He didn't unsheath the devil's saber on his back, but rather he slashed out with his palm. A shocking demonic blade appeared and slashed forward. Thump! The demonic blade slashed at the black wings, causing them to tremble violently. Lu Ming's body retreated like a cannonball, his chi and blood in his body churning and blood flowing from his mouth. Without a doubt, this young man was a top heaven's favorite. His battle strength was shocking. Although his cultivation was at the 6th level of the martial royal realm, his combat strength could definitely kill a 7th level martial royal realm expert, or even be comparable to an 8th level martial royal realm expert. Lu Ming was no match for him. "Don't attack. Seal the area. Oh, kill him," the young man said coldly as he stepped forward and closed in on Lu Ming. Buzz! The young man struck out with his palm, and a terrifying demonic blade slashed down at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's glabella glowed, and a shield appeared. It enlarged and blocked in front of him. Clang! The demonic blade slashed at the shield, and the shield trembled. The shield and Lu Ming were both sent flying. "Holy weapon, it's a holy weapon again. You have a lot of treasures on you, but it's a pity that you're a piece of trash, wasting these treasures for nothing. In the future, it'll help you keep these treasures. Remember, the one who killed you is Mo He of the Tianyu demon sect." The greed in the young man's eyes grew even more intense, and the aura around him grew even stronger. With a wave of his hand, a demonic blade appeared behind his back, and a terrifying blade light stirred up the wind and clouds. "Attack!" At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly shouted. He flapped his wings and pounced at Mo He like a black lightning. Mo He's eyes turned cold. Just as he was about to slash out with his saber, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared and enveloped Mo He. His body was frozen in place. "The 9 seals of the Gate of God, seal," Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. 5 gates of sealing appeared around Mo He and pressed down on him. "Break!" Mo He roared madly. His demonic chi burst out and turned into a shocking blade light along the demonic blade, bombarding the transparent bubble. The transparent bubble rumbled and shook violently. It only lasted for a breath before it shattered. The transparent bubble burst, and the 5 sealing gates pressed down. Slash! Mo He struggled with all his might, and the saber radiance broke through the air. The 5 sealing gates were also broken one by one. However, at this moment, Lu Ming had already appeared not far from Mo He. Godly sword technique. 2 rays of black light shot out from Lu Ming's eyes. Like 2 divine swords, they shot into Mo He's body and went straight to his spiritual god. Spiritual god Mo He trembled, and his aura became unstable. Primal chaos sky-turning seal. Die! Lu Ming roared. In the sky, a huge chaos seal, like an ancient divine mountain, pressed down on Mo He, bringing with it waves of terrifying air. Even Mo He's pupils shrank when he saw the might. He couldn't ignore it. "Break! Die!" Mo He roared. His entire body seemed to have turned into a demonic blade as he soared into the sky. Boom! The primal chaos sky-turning seal collided heavily with the demonic blade, producing a deafening boom. At this moment, time seemed to have frozen. "Watch me!" Dandan cried out as her body flew out and flew above the chaos sky-turning seal. Her body rapidly grew in size, and dense inscriptions appeared on her entire body. Her entire body seemed to have turned into a mountain, a turtle-shaped mountain, and she stepped heavily on the chaos sky-turning seal. Boom! The weight of the chaos sky-turning seal increased sharply in an instant. The saber light transformed by Mo He was shattered, and the Chaos Sky-turning seal continued to suppress Emohi. Emohi roared angrily. He raised his palms and bombarded the Chaos Sky-turning seal. Boom! The primal Chaos Sky-turning seal was pierced through. But Emohi's body also fell down like a meteorite because of this force. As Emohi fell, there was an opening in the encirclement that they had formed. Chirping, Bubbles screeched and a space-time tunnel appeared. Lu Ming brought Dandan and Bubbles into the void tunnel, and appeared thousands of miles away. Then he flapped his black wings and flew forward at top speed. Buzz! Emohi rushed up into the sky again. His eyes were filled with shocking flames as he roared in fury. Chase! Whoosh! 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 Emohi and the other 5 LV7 Martial Royal Realm experts turned into 6 demonic lights and chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming took out a pile of raw gemstones and devoured them to recover his essential core. At the same time, he increased his speed to the maximum and fled at top speed. He knew that the attack just now could not do anything to Emohi. Emohi's combat strength was too powerful. Just now, Emohi had underestimated his opponent and was caught off guard by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had used Dandan and Bubbles to launch a series of attacks. In the end, he had used the Chaos Sky-turning seal, Dandan's power, and the Divine Sword technique to send Emohi flying. However, it shouldn't be able to hurt Emohi. After all, Emohi himself was a top heaven's favorite with powerful combat strength. Lu Ming's cultivation base was much lower than his. This was already the limit. Chapter 1477. 1477 Chapter 1477 Wasteland of Death 7 rays of black light, one in front and one behind, streaked across the sky like 7 bolts of lightning. Although Lu Ming had the black wings, coupled with the power of the air-frozen bead, and his speed was amazing, he was at a disadvantage because his cultivation was too low. Emohi and the other 5 7th-level Martial Royal Realm experts burst out their vital essence. With their powerful cultivation, they chased closely behind Lu Ming. Not long after, they had flown a long distance, but the distance between the two sides had not widened, nor had they come closer. Bubble! Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Bubbles. Bubbles cried and opened a space-time tunnel. Lu Ming flew in, and the next moment, he appeared thousands of miles away. The distance between them widened in an instant. Damn it, it's not that easy to escape. Emohi bellowed and waved his hand. A treasure flew out. It was a flying shuttle. As soon as it flew out, it grew in the wind and quickly became 100 meters long. Get on! Emohi shouted. The other 5 experts of the 7th rank all flew onto the space-breaking shuttle. Whoosh! The space-breaking shuttle glowed and flew out at an astonishing speed. It was much faster than their flying speed and was approaching Lu Ming quickly. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed. The speed of the space-breaking shuttle was too fast. It was a special tool used by the martial experts of the Yuan continent to travel. Lu Ming's face was gloomy. He used all his strength and flew at full speed, but the space-breaking shuttle behind him was still approaching. After a while, Lu Ming had no choice but to ask Bubbles to open the space-time tunnel again to increase the distance between them. Kid, let's see how long you can run. Inside the space-breaking shuttle, Emohi's eyes were very cold. Half a day passed just like that. We can't continue like this. Lu Ming frowned. If this went on, Bubbles would not be able to take it, and her energy would be depleted. If he was caught up too, he would not have a second chance to escape. A large river appeared in front of them. The strange thing was that the water of the river was black as ink. It was extremely strange. The other side of the river was also a black world. Black soil, black rocks, and even black flowers and trees. Separated by a river, it was like 2 different worlds. It was extremely strange. However, Lu Ming was only surprised for a moment. He did not stop at all. He flew over the river and headed toward the strange black world. Whoosh! Not long after Lu Ming flew over the river, the space-piercing shuttle appeared. However, it did not continue flying. Instead, it stopped in front of the river. Emohi and the other 5 LV7 Martial Royal Realm experts flew out of the space-breaking shuttle. Emohi then put it away. This brat actually escaped into the desolate land of death, the head of the 6 great forbidden lands of the Azure continent. Emohi frowned and looked at the world on the other side of the river. His eyes were filled with fear. The other 5 people looked across the river with the same fear. The 6 forbidden grounds of the Azure continent were filled with danger, and even saints would die if they entered. The desolate land of death in front of them was even more terrifying. It was the head of the 6 great forbidden lands. No one knew when it had existed. It was only known that it had existed for a long time. According to legend, in the distant past, great emperors had entered it. But in the end, they retreated in fear. No one knew what the great emperor had encountered inside. He only knew that it was dangerous, extremely dangerous. Young Master Emohi, what should we do now? One of the black-robed men asked. Chase him in and kill him. I want to see him alive, and I want to see his corpse dead. Emohi's voice was cold. He was full of confidence. Bringing 5 7th-level martial emperors to kill Lu Ming was supposed to be a surefire plan. With Lu Ming's cultivation, he could not possibly escape. However, Lu Ming had escaped from him. How was he going to explain it to him when he returned? Therefore, he hated Lu Ming to the core and had to kill him. Chase after them? The 5 LV7 martial royal realm experts' expressions changed drastically. Yes, and it's you guys. Hurry up, or else we won't be able to see that kid's figure. You should know who gave the order this time. If that kid escapes, they'll definitely be fine when I go back. But you guys, you should know the consequences. Emohi said coldly. The 5 7th-level martial royal realm experts' faces turned even uglier. They looked at each other and gritted their teeth. They turned into 5 demonic lights and rushed across the opposite bank of the river, chasing after Lu Ming. Kid, you're just like an ant. You should listen to your fate and be a good ant. But you came to the Tianyu demonic sect. You're a toad lusting after a swan's meat. I can only make you disappear. Emohi looked at the dark world as his cold voice rang out. After Lu Ming flew across the river, he continued to fly at high speed. Below, the terrain was very complicated. There were pits and strange rocks. Moreover, these strange rocks were all black. On the ground, there were many huge ancient trees. However, these ancient trees were black in color. Their trunks and branches were twisted together, making them look very strange. Moreover, the more they flew, the more ancient trees appeared, and they were larger and taller. Ancient black trees that were hundreds of meters tall were everywhere, covering the land. At this moment, Lu Ming realized that there were 5 people chasing after him. These guys are really persistent. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. In the blink of an eye, they had flown tens of thousands of miles, but they were still in this dark world. It seemed that this dark world was boundless. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt a large shadow cast over his head. He could not help but look up. Lu Ming's pupils shrank at a glance. A gargantuan bird had appeared in the sky. The giant bird had a very strange appearance. It had 2 heads, and its entire body was pitch black. Its eyes were red like burning red flames. Most importantly, it was too big. When it spread its wings, it covered the sky and the sun. Like a dark cloud, it cast a shadow over Lu Ming and the 5 LV7 martial royal realm experts behind him. Gah! Suddenly the giant eagle screeched. A shocking gravitational force seemed to burst out from its mouth and enveloped the LV7 martial emperor realm expert. No! The LV7 martial royal realm expert screamed in horror. He lost control of his body and flew into the giant bird's mouth. Then, he was swallowed by the giant bird like an ant. Lu Ming was shocked. A LV7 martial royal realm expert was completely helpless against the giant bird and was swallowed. The strength of this giant bird was extremely terrifying. Gah! The giant bird chirped and its eyes were like lightning as it scanned Lu Ming and the remaining 4 7th-level martial emperors. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He immediately bent down and rushed to the ground. The ground was covered with black ancient trees that were hundreds of meters tall. They could block the giant bird's vision and help it escape. At the same time, the 4 7th-level martial royal realm experts also swooped down and rushed into the ancient black tree, 1,100 feet behind Lu Ming. As expected, as soon as they rushed to the ground, the giant bird cried out and looked around. It didn't continue to attack, but instead soared in the sky. These guys are really not giving up. Lu Ming realized that the 4 7th-level martial emperors were still chasing after him. They were running at top speed in the dark forest. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and cast the wind elemental technique, rushing out as well. Chapter 1478. 1478 Chapter 1478 Danger. At every step in the sky, there was a terrifying existence like the giant bird. They didn't dare to fly in the sky, so they could only run on the ground. The ground here was extremely strange. It was full of potholes, as if it had been corroded by something. It was extremely strange. Those black ancient trees were rooted in this kind of ground. Behind them, the remaining 4 7th-level martial royal realm experts were shuttling through the forest at an astonishing speed, chasing after Lu Ming. Lu Ming could only escape. With his current combat strength, even if he were to face a 7th-level martial royal realm expert, he would not have any chance of winning. He might even be killed, let alone 4 of them. Suddenly, there was a scream from behind. Lu Ming instinctively looked over and saw a 7th-level martial royal realm expert stepping on a pile of black mud. The mud immediately emitted a black gas. The expert was hit by the black gas and let out a shrill scream. Then, under the shocked gazes of the others, he was directly corroded and turned into a pile of mud. Nest, what the hell is this place? Lu Ming screamed in his heart, and cold sweat seeped out of his face. A LV7 martial royal realm expert had just stepped on a piece of black mud and died. Just now, Lu Ming had also passed by that piece of mud. Fortunately, he did not step on it. This place was filled with danger at every step. The remaining 3 7th-level martial emperors looked terrified, but they still chased after Lu Ming. These people, something's wrong. Why are they so desperate? Why are they chasing after me so reluctantly? Lu Ming had a flash of doubt. If he was just jealous of Xian Yinqing and wanted to get rid of him, he didn't have to risk his life like this. He should have stopped in such a dangerous place. Could it be that he was ordered by some big shot in the Tianyu demon sect to chase after them? Many thoughts emerged in Lu Ming's mind. Not long after, they had covered a distance of more than 1,000 miles. In front of them, the terrain had become even more complicated. There were many mountain peaks and ravines. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, a violent rumble came from a huge canyon. Then, Lu Ming saw a herd of majestic black bulls charging out of the canyon and charging at them. These black bulls were muscular, and most of them were 3 meters tall and more than 5 meters long. Their bodies were completely black as if they were made of iron, and their eyes were blood red, similar to the giant eagle from before. Some of them were even bigger, 4 meters tall, and some even 5 meters tall. Buzz! And NBSB whoosh! As soon as the black bulls appeared, they roared and spread out, charging toward Lu Ming and the others. Buzz! A 3-meter-tall black bull appeared on Lu Ming's right. Its 2 horns were like 2 blades as it charged at Lu Ming. Get lost! Lu Ming's body swayed, and he dodged the black bull's charge. He then threw a punch. Bang! This punch landed on the black bull and sent it flying. The black bull was equivalent to a 1st-level martial emperor. It could not stop Lu Ming at all, and was sent flying hundreds of meters away by Lu Ming's punch, crashing into the wall of a mountain. Crushed stones flew everywhere. Then, the black bull shook its head and stood up again. It's so hard. Lu Ming was greatly shocked. Although he had not used his full strength in that punch, an ordinary LV1 martial royal realm expert would have exploded and died if they were hit. However, the black bull seemed to be fine. Buzz! Buzz! After Lu Ming blasted one away, 2 more black bulls charged at him. The strength of the 2 black bulls was even more shocking. They had reached the 2nd level of the martial royal realm. Lu Ming threw 2 consecutive punches, sending the 2 black bulls flying. However, just like the previous one, it only shook its head and stood up as if nothing had happened. His bones were as strong as steel. Furthermore, more black bulls kept charging out of the valley. At a glance, there were at least 1,000 of them, but they still didn't stop. Among these black bulls, the weakest one was at the LV1 martial emperor realm. The stronger ones were at the LV2 and LV3 martial emperor realm. Lu Ming even saw a 6th-level martial emperor. Boom! 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 The black bull leaped and stomped on the ground, causing the earth to rumble, as if an earthquake had occurred. Kill! Get lost! The three experts of the Sky Demon sect were also fighting the black bull. A black blade light exploded, and a large group of black bulls was sent flying. Some of the weakest bulls' defenses were finally broken, and they were cut in two, bleeding black blood. Buzz! And NBSB whoosh! The black bulls seemed to have been provoked by the blood, and became even more furious. Most of them rushed toward the three powerhouses of the Sky Demon sect, many of whom were at the LV6 Martial Royal Realm. The three powerhouses from the Tianyu demonic sect killed their way through. The three of them worked together and slowly approached Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming was also surrounded by a group of black bulls. The strongest one was at the 5th level Martial Emperor realm. Bang! Lu Ming threw a punch at the head of the black ox. His body trembled, and he took a few steps back. He felt his fists go numb. What astonishing strength! Every single one of these black bulls had astonishing strength. Let's go! Lu Ming cast the wind elemental technique and tapped on the head of a black bull. Then he charged forward. However, the black bulls did not give up and continued to pursue Lu Ming. Some of the black bulls even shot out beams of black light from their horns at Lu Ming. Lu Ming spread his black wings and shielded his back from the black light. Buzz! At this moment, an earth-shattering bull's roar came from a canyon. Then, the earth trembled as a giant bull with an astonishing physique charged out. This black bull was at least 10 meters tall and more than 10 meters long. It was like a small hill, and it emitted an astonishing aura. Buzz! The black bull charged at the three Sky Demon sect experts. The three experts from the Sky Demon sect were powerful and full of demonic energy. Naturally, they were more attractive than Lu Ming. Bang! The huge black bull stomped on the ground with its four limbs and instantly crossed a distance of a few thousand meters. Like a small mountain, it charged towards one of the people. Not good. The man's expression changed drastically as he slashed at the black bull with the demonic blade. However, the huge black bull didn't seem to see it and directly rammed into it. The demonic blade collapsed, and the huge bull crashed into the expert of the Sky Demon sect. The expert screamed and was sent flying. He broke dozens of black ancient trees and stopped breathing. He was knocked to death. The strength of this black bull was shocking. The other two fled in all directions in fear. Buzz! The giant black bull roared, and its horns glowed. Two black beams of light flew out like two demonic blades, slashing at the two Sky Demon sect experts. The two of them blocked with their demonic blades, but they both grunted as their bodies were sent flying. Blood spurted out of their mouths, and they were drowned by the countless black bulls. Only a few flashes of blade light could be seen, and then they became weaker and weaker. At this moment, the giant black bull's gaze turned to Lu Ming. Then it roared and charged at Lu Ming. Nest! Lu Ming shouted angrily, and quickly got Bubbles to open a space-time tunnel, rushing forward for thousands of miles. Chapter 1479. 1479. The path understanding ancient tree that was as tall as the sky. Seeing that Lu Ming had escaped, the giant black bull roared and chased after him. Lu Ming cast his movement technique and continued to move forward. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming discovered that there were fewer and fewer black ancient trees in this area. However, there were wisps of black mist floating in the air. Zzz. His body protection genuine vitality was making a sizzling sound. The black mist was corroding his true essence. Lu Ming quickly cast the Chaos Realm to cover his entire body and resist the surrounding black mist. However, this black mist was extremely shocking. It adhered to the Primal Chaos Domain, and even the Primal Chaos Domain emitted a sizzling sound. What was even more shocking was that even the black wings were the same. The black wings were stuck to the black mist, and also emitted the sound of corrosion. It could even corrode the Chaos Realm and holy weapons. Lu Ming's expression turned ugly, and he could not help but stop. It was too dangerous to continue. It's actually this kind of aura? On his shoulder, Dandan's expression was grave and uncertain. Dandan, this aura? What do you mean? Lu Ming asked. It's not an aura from this world, Dandan said a vague sentence. Not in this world. Could it be the heaven realm? Lu Ming asked. No. Dandan shook her head, looked up into the distance and said nothing more. Boom, boom, boom. Behind him, the earth rumbled, and the figure of a giant black bull the size of a small hill appeared. Nest, you're here again. Is there a need to be like this? Lu Ming was speechless. The 5 experts of the Sky Demon sect had died, but this black giant was still chasing after them. This big shot was too powerful. It could easily kill a 7th-level martial emperor. Similarly, it could also kill Lu Ming easily. Lu Ming could only brace himself and continue to run forward. The further he went, the thicker the black mist became. His chaos domain and black wings kept making a sizzling sound. The giant black bull suddenly stopped after chasing for a while. It seemed to be a little afraid. After neighing a few times, it turned around and ran away. This bull has finally left. What's going on? It seems to be very afraid. Lu Ming muttered. Nonsense, of course he's afraid. Little brat, run quickly, go forward, Dandan shouted. Hiss hiss hiss. At this moment, hissing sounds could be heard from both sides. Then, Lu Ming saw 2 disgusting pythons crawling over. There was a giant python on each side. This giant python had 3 heads, and its body was more than 100 meters in diameter. What was even more shocking was that his body was in tatters, and black liquid was constantly flowing out of it. It was extremely horrifying. It was a giant python that Lu Ming had never heard of or seen before. It exuded an extremely evil aura, and gave off a feeling that it was 10 times more terrifying than the black giant from before. Lu Ming finally understood why the black giant had suddenly escaped. It was because of the 2 giant pythons. The giant python appeared, its crimson eyes staring at Lu Ming. Run! Lu Ming sprinted forward without any hesitation. Hiss, hiss. When the 2 pythons saw that Lu Ming had escaped, they hissed with their 3 heads, and twisted their huge bodies to chase after Lu Ming. Its body was 100 meters in diameter, and it was like 2 mountain ranges. Lu Ming was like an ant in front of it. Lu Ming's black wings flapped continuously. He completely ignored the black mist and flew forward at top speed. From time to time, he still needed Bubbles' help to escape from the 2 giant pythons' pursuit. Otherwise, Lu Ming would have been devoured by the 2 terrifying giant pythons. After an unknown period of time, the mist around him became thicker and thicker, and the power of corrosion became stronger and stronger. As Lu Ming tried to escape, he had to resist the surrounding black mist at the same time. He had expended a lot of energy. At this moment, Lu Ming was already sweating all over and panting heavily. As for Bubbles, it was almost the same. It was so tired that it was lying on Lu Ming. What is this place? It's so strange. Am I going to die here today? Buried in the snake's stomach? No, I can't die here. I promised little Qing that I'll soar through the clouds with her. Lu Ming gritted his teeth. A light flashed between his eyebrows, and Ming Lian's second body appeared. He took a step forward and dense inscriptions appeared. As for his main body, it entered the mountain and river diagram, devouring raw stones and recovering. After this period of time, the second body had completely recovered. Moreover, it was a blessing in disguise. His cultivation had improved, and he had already lit 4 lamps of mind. The second body hurried on. After a while, when the mental energy fire of the second body was also greatly consumed, the main body appeared, and continued to move forward. Hiss, hiss. At this time, the 2 giant pythons suddenly stopped and looked ahead. They seemed to reveal a look of fear, and then directly turned around and slithered away. Lu Ming's heart started to turn cold. He thought of the giant bull from before. Could it be that he had entered the territory of an even more terrifying existence, and scared the 2 pythons away? Lu Ming stood rooted to the ground. For a moment he did not know where to go. He now knew that this area was a forbidden land full of dangers. Lu Ming, continue forward. Dandan looked into the distance and said, Continue forward. The further we go, the stronger the black mist is. We don't even know what kind of terrifying existence it is. Lu Ming said. At this moment, the black mist caused his chaos domain to tremble. If this continued, Lu Ming would not be able to hold on for long. As for the black wings, Lu Ming had already put them away. Otherwise they might be corroded. Listen to this, Lord, that's right. Dandan said. All right, I'll listen to you this once. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and strode forward. To Lu Ming's surprise, they did not encounter any danger as they continued to move forward. There were no exotic beasts either. After walking for about 1,000 miles, Lu Ming suddenly stopped. He widened his eyes and looked ahead. He seemed to be frozen. That was because Lu Ming saw a scene that shocked him. In front of them, an ancient tree that reached the sky rose from the ground and pierced through the depths of the void. This ancient tree was too big, too tall, and too majestic. It was like the legendary tree of the world, as tall as the sky. On the branches, there were wisps of the great Daos aura, which was extremely mysterious. Lu Ming was tongue-tied. The path-understanding ancient tree. Lu Ming recognized it at a glance. It was a path-understanding ancient tree, a fully matured path-understanding ancient tree. It was said that in the distant past, many top experts would have a path-understanding ancient tree beside them. Lu Ming saw a fully matured path-understanding ancient tree here. A figure was sitting cross-legged under the path-understanding ancient tree. This figure was extremely tall and majestic. Just by sitting there cross-legged, the top of his head broke into the firmament. Clouds and mist curled around his body. His body was even taller than a towering mountain peak. How could he have such a majestic body? However, due to the distance and the black mist, Lu Ming could not see the figure's appearance clearly. He could only vaguely see that there seemed to be 2 horns on the top of the figure's head, 2 horns that looked like bull's horns. Chapter 1480. 1480 Chapter 1480 Shocking Battle. It's this guy. It's really this guy. He actually didn't die in the battle that year. Dandan shouted. Lu Ming's heart trembled. Could it be that Dandan knew this figure? Dandan, you know him? Lu Ming asked in a low voice. He was now certain that the 2 giant pythons had retreated most likely because of this figure. In the depths of this terrifying forbidden land, there was a mature path-understanding ancient tree. Under the path-understanding ancient tree, there was a towering figure sitting cross-legged. It was beyond Lu Ming's expectations. Moreover, Dandan seemed to know him. Nonsense, this king would recognize this guy even if he turned to dust. Dandan muttered, her face revealing an angry expression. He wouldn't be a match for this guy Dandan, right? Dandan was one of the top 10 war beasts, so how terrifying was this towering figure? Lu Ming's heartbeat accelerated. Chirping. Bubbles chirped and looked at the figure curiously. Buzz. At this moment, the towering figure suddenly opened his eyes. 2 bright rays of light shot out from his eyes like 2 extremely sharp divine swords, as if they were going to split the world in half. The towering figure's gaze first landed on Bubbles, then on Dandan, and finally on Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt a terrifying pressure on his body when the gaze swept over him. He found it difficult to even breathe, as if his body had been penetrated. Strong, too strong. Lu Ming only had one thought in his mind. The figure did not release any shocking aura. It merely swept its gaze across Lu Ming, and Lu Ming could feel a terrifying pressure. It was as if he was facing the entire universe, and he could not even think of resisting. Lu Ming had a feeling that the other party could turn him into ashes with a single thought. Roar. At this moment, a terrifying roar came from the void in the distance. It was filled with brutal intent. That's... At this moment, Lu Ming's gaze shifted from the path-understanding ancient tree and the towering figure to the depths of the void. There, a huge hole seemed to have been torn open in the space. A huge, pitch-black hole floated quietly in the air. It was pitch black inside, as if it led to the abyss of hell. And that terrifying roar had come from that abyss-like hole. Roar! Roar! Following that, the roars came one after another, getting louder and louder, more and more shocking. The sound turned into a terrifying sound wave and charged out, causing Lu Ming's chaos domain to shake violently. Lu Ming's body trembled violently, and he was forced to retreat, almost spitting out a mouthful of blood. What a terrifying sound. Lu Ming and the hole were separated by an unknown distance, yet the sound that came out of the hole could still injure Lu Ming. At this moment, the towering figure stood up. As he stood up, his figure became even more majestic, as if he was as tall as the sky. The towering figure flicked his finger, An array of light flew toward Lu Ming and the others, forming a light screen that blocked them. That terrifying sound immediately disappeared. The towering figure was actually protecting them. It seemed that he really knew Dandan. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Roar! The roar shook the sky. At this moment, Lu Ming saw a shocking scene. 2 tentacles suddenly stretched out from the dark hole. These 2 tentacles were extremely huge, like the tentacles of an octopus. They were pitch black. 2 tentacles stretched out and pressed on both sides of the huge hole, supporting it with force, as if trying to let an even larger body behind it come out. Slash! Break! The towering figure coldly spat out a word. The world rumbled as if the great path had been added to them. 2 terrifying blades slashed at the 2 tentacles. However, at this moment, 2 more black tentacles stretched out from the black hole and wrapped around the 2 blades. With 2 bangs, the 2 blades were destroyed. Bang! Bang! The towering figure stepped forward. His eyes were like lightning, and his body was surrounded by endless light. It was as if the great Tao of heaven and earth was surrounding him. Lu Ming was shocked. What realm was this? The movement of the body and the movement of the great Tao was like the great Tao of heaven and earth. It was his weapon and his slave. This level of cultivation was already unbelievable and had reached an unimaginable stage. Boom! Boom! The towering figure punched out twice. And NBSB, the 2 pitch-black tentacles exploded, sending black liquid flying in all directions and scattering on the ground. Within the black liquid, wisps of black mist were emitted. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that the black fog and the black mud were formed by the explosion of these tentacles? Roar! And NBSB, the tentacle was broken, and an angry roar came out of the pitch-black hole. The terrifying sound waves caused the space around the towering figure to collapse and turn into chaos. The terrifying sound waves traversed an endless distance and rushed toward Lu Ming and the rest. Boom! Lu Ming's body trembled violently. He felt his blood boiling, and a stream of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Dandan, who was on Lu Ming's shoulder, was sent flying. Fuck! This guy is definitely doing this on purpose. Since he wants to protect us, why didn't he isolate the sound waves completely? Some of them even seeped in. This guy is doing this on purpose. He's jealous of me. Dandan shouted and glared at the towering figure in the distance. Roar! And NBSB roars came from the hole, and a giant head appeared. The head was covered in scales, and there were 3 eyes on the forehead. 3 eyes. Lu Ming could not help but recall the 3-eyed god he had encountered on a small island in the Heaven Realm during the War of Providence. The giant head appeared, and the 3rd eye between its brows shot out a destructive light toward the towering figure. The towering figure punched out and destroyed the destructive light. At this moment, a few more tentacles reached out from the hole and pressed around it. The huge figure seemed to be crawling out. Get back! The towering figure spoke, his voice rumbling. With a punch, heaven and earth were annihilated by the fist force. And NBSB, the tentacles pressing around the hole, all exploded. The black liquid scattered on the vast land. Some of it even sprayed toward Lu Ming and the rest. Fortunately, the towering figure had set up a light shield for them that blocked the black liquid. Otherwise, it would be a disaster for Lu Ming and the rest. Kill! At this moment, the towering figure let out a loud roar and took a step forward, directly charging into the pitch-black hole. Boom! Boom! A deafening boom erupted from the pitch-black hole. The void collapsed and Lu Ming saw the scene inside through the collapsed void. A massive figure covered in scales appeared, and it bore some resemblance to the 3-eyed god race. And NBSB, however, it was far larger and more imposing than the 3-eyed god race, and it had 8 pitch-black tentacles growing from its back. This figure held 2 giant axes and fought against the towering figure. The towering figure, with the great path on his body, had astonishing combat power. The 2 of them kept clashing, and the void kept collapsing. In the end, the 2 of them fought through the void and into the starry sky. Chapter 1481. 1481. Let's have some emperor medicine and emperor weapons. The towering figure fought with the ferocious creature and fought into the outer space. However, Lu Ming could still see it clearly. Through the collapsing void, He could vaguely see two figures fighting in the outer space. It was as if it was a projection, and it was very magical. Two huge figures were fighting in the starry sky, and the space was collapsing. Buzz! All of a sudden, the towering figure roared into the sky and transformed into a giant heavenly bull. Its two horns were like two divine blades. The towering figure's true form was actually a huge heavenly bull. The sky bull stepped in the air, and with every step the space collapsed. Buzz! The heavenly bull roared, and the space turned into chaos. Lu Ming even saw the stars in the sky explode like fireworks. Lu Ming sucked in a breath of cold air. It was too terrifying. With a roar, the stars exploded. What kind of terrifying combat strength was this? Could human strength really reach such a level? Lu Ming felt that with the towering figure's combat strength, it could probably completely wipe out a continent, like the Divine Wilderness continent, in one move. One move could make the Divine Wilderness continent disappear from the world. This level of combat strength had exceeded Lu Ming's imagination. Is this the fighting power of a great emperor? But even Emperor Tsong and Shakyamuni annihilating soul weren't this terrifying. Lu Ming muttered, "Kid, what do you know? Even though we're all great emperors, there's a huge difference in our battle strength. When I was at my peak, I could kill a bunch of ordinary great emperors with one slap," Dandan said with a smug face. Lu Ming was skeptical about her words. Lu Ming believed that there was a huge difference in combat strength, even though they were both great emperors. However, ordinary great emperors weren't that weak. When he first saw Emperor Tsong and Shakyamuni annihilating Seoul, it was because the two of them were too severely injured. Furthermore, they had been fighting against each other for 60,000 years, and were already extremely weak. Otherwise, Emperor Tsong wouldn't have been able to turn the tide of the battle with the help of an absolute Saint Lightning Cauldron. If Emperor Tsong and Shakyamuni annihilating Seoul were at their peak, they would definitely be extremely terrifying. The heavenly bull roared and shattered the stars. The tentacles behind the three-eyed creature also exploded. Then the heavenly bull stomped on the sky. Its two horns turned into two heavenly blades and slashed out. Two pitch-black blade marks appeared in the universe. From a distance, it looked as if the entire universe had been split. The three-eyed creature roared as it wielded two battle axes to fight against the two heavenly blades. The space around it was constantly being destroyed. If that terrifying attack were to land on the ground, it would definitely be a scene of the heavens collapsing and the earth shattering. In the blink of an eye, the two terrifying existences had exchanged more than a dozen moves. But in the end, the heavenly bull's combat power was stronger. The heavenly bull stomped in the air and destroyed all of the opponent's defenses. It crashed into the opponent's body, blasting a big hole in it. Then, the heavenly blade formed by the horns came down and cut off the opponent's head. But even so, the three-eyed creature still didn't die. It waved its giant axe and left a deep wound on the heavenly bull's body. Buzz! The heavenly bull let out a loud roar, and the void collapsed, turning into primitive chaos. Cracks appeared on the three-eyed creature's body, and black liquid flowed out. Buzz! Roar! The heavenly bull roared again. The three-eyed creature finally couldn't take it anymore, and its body exploded in the air. But even so, the other party was not dead. His two huge arms held the giant axe and continued to slash at the heavenly bull. The broken flesh and blood, as well as the severed head, wriggled rapidly and quickly fused together, trying to be restored. How could the heavenly bull let his opponent have his way? He stepped forward in the air, and his body glowed. This was the power of the Great Path. The terrifying law of the Great Path enveloped his opponent and began to refine him. Chi-Chi, the three-eyed creature's flesh and blood, seemed to be engulfed in flames, as it was being refined continuously, turning into black smoke that dissipated. You can't stop my realm. You're just a defeated army who's struggling at death's door. Arg. The severed head roared as the third eye shot out a beam of destruction at the heavenly bull. But it was destroyed. The heaven realm is going to be destroyed, and the primordial realm won't be spared either. You're just struggling on your deathbed. When our realm opens up the great road and the great army strikes, you'll all be annihilated. The head let out another roar. Poochie! The two heavenly blades slashed down, splitting the giant head in half. The laws of the great Tao condensed, and the three-eyed creature turned into black smoke and dissipated. My realm and my clan will take revenge for me. After a few hours, the three-eyed creature was finally refined. The giant heavenly bull turned back into a human. It stepped out and reappeared under the path understanding ancient tree. An earth-shattering battle had come to an end. However, Lu Ming was shocked and could not calm down. Such an existence should be a peak expert in the world, right? It was truly a world-shattering thought. In a fit of anger, millions of corpses would fall. It was unbelievably powerful. TSK, this old bull can't take it anymore. It took so long to kill such an enemy. It seems that he was also injured in the battle back then. Lu Ming's eyelids twitched as he muttered. Such a terrifying combat power was still not enough? Hey old bull, long time no see. Did you miss me? Dandan shouted at the towering figure. The towering figure looked at Dandan and a rumbling voice came out. You old turtle, you're still alive. You're quite lucky. Ha 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 old bull, you're not dead yet. Who am I? How can I die so easily? Old bull, it's been years since we last met. Give me a gift. What emperor's medicine? Give me 100 or so to use first. Or 8 or 10 emperor weapons will do. Dandan laughed. Lu Ming was speechless. This guy really knew how to demand an exorbitant price. However, Lu Ming was also looking forward to it. He thought that if the towering figure really gave Dandan a few stalks of emperor's medicine, he must find a way to get some. The towering figure seemed to smile. With a wave of his hand, a ball of light flew through the air. However, the ray of light was not flying towards Dandan, but towards Bubbles at an unbelievable speed. In an instant it had arrived before Bubbles. Lu Ming did not see what it was clearly. The bubble opened its mouth and swallowed the ball of light in one gulp. It had a look of enjoyment. Time and space Spinel? Old bull, you are really generous. What about mine? Where are my treasures? Dandan's eyes widened. Go, the towering figure said. Hey wait, my treasure. You old bull. You value your lover over your friends. Are you taking revenge on me for being more handsome than you? Dandan cursed and jabbered on. The towering figure waved his hand, and an invisible force surged. Lu Ming felt his body tighten. Then, he saw the surrounding scenery flash past him like a fleeting shadow. In the next moment, Lu Ming realized that he had already left the dark land, and was standing on a mountain peak. Revenge, revenge, this old bull is definitely taking revenge. Damn it, he didn't give me anything. Dandan was still cursing and swearing before she looked at Bubbles with envy and jealousy. It's over. After getting the time and space Spinel, this little guy's cultivation will advance by leaps and bounds. He'll definitely leave me far behind. That old bull really values women. Chapter 1482. 1482 Chapter 1482 Titan Longhorn Heavy Color? Lu Ming was speechless. Could Bubbles be a female? But she was only a few years old. Could she be Bubbles' mother, the legendary space-time spirit mouse? Lu Ming pondered in his heart. However, he was also happy for Bubbles. Looking at Eggy's appearance, the time and space Spinel must be extraordinary. Chirping, Bubbles cried out as her entire body emitted a milky white light. That light seemed both real and illusionary, as if space-time laws had enveloped her entire body. She looked at Dandan with a smug expression. This made Dandan so angry that even her turtle shell turned green. Dandan, who is that person? It's that powerful? Lu Ming asked curiously. Lu Ming speculated that the figure should be in existence at the same stage as Dandan. It might even be an expert of the same level. Could it be another one of the top 10 beasts? Who else could it be? Just look at its size. It's one of the top 10 battle beasts, the Titan Longhorn. It was my little brother back then. Dandan curled her lips and said. As expected. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he looked shocked. He had come into contact with a few of the top 10 war beasts. His first bloodline, the 9 dragons. There was also Dandan, who called herself the divine turtle of the world, and the head of the top 10. Of course, Lu Ming only heard it and did not take it seriously. Bubbles was the descendant of the space-time spirit mouse. There was also the Dragon Star's bloodline, the Archean dragonesque elephant. However, none of the people he had come into contact with were the original. They either appeared with the bloodline, or were descendants. And Dandan had also gone through nirvana and rebirth. As for the Titan longhorn beetle, it was the real original body. Although it was said that it wasn't in its peak state, and had been injured, the real original body, the legendary one, had earth-shaking combat strength. As for Dandan's statement that the Titan longhorn was his younger brother, Lu Ming directly ignored it. Dandan would die if she did not boast. How many of the top 10 battle beasts are still alive? Lu Ming muttered. There was no doubt that the top 10 war beasts were the pinnacle of existence in the world. Each of them was forbidden, unique. The old space-time spirit rat had died, and a new space-time spirit rat was born. I don't know either. Dandan's expression revealed a rare look of contemplation and solemnness, as if she was sighing with emotion. Chirping. At this moment, with a cry from Pow Pow, one of its claws pointed forward. Lu Ming looked ahead. Emohi. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. The mountain they had appeared on wasn't far from the desolate land of death. From afar, one could see the pitch-black river. Emohi stood by the river with his hands behind his back, looking at the desolate land of death. I have to think of a way to get rid of this person. Lu Ming revealed a cold, murderous intent. This time he was lucky to have survived. It could be said that he was in danger. Lu Ming must take revenge. There it is. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and Ming Lian appeared. Lu Ming's plan was very simple. He would let Ming Lian inscribe a large array to trap Emohi. Ming Lian took a step forward and appeared in a valley behind the mountain. He began to carve a large array. This lord will help. Dandan followed him. How could he miss out on such a thing as scamming and killing people? As for Lu Ming himself, he concealed his aura and quietly approached the big river. The river was very long, and it divided the land into two. One side was the desolate land of death, and the other side was normal land. Lu Ming quietly came to the river and hid himself with the help of a huge rock. He was 100 miles away from Emohi. Lu Ming completely restrained his aura and observed quietly. I wonder how that kid is doing. Are you dead? Emohi looked at the wasteland of death and thought with a frown. I hope those guys can kill that kid and bring his body out. This time, he had been ordered to kill Lu Ming. He was confident that he would bring Lu Ming's corpse back. He did not expect that Lu Ming would escape to the death wasteland. He didn't dare to enter and could only wait here. Time passed by quickly. Very quickly a day had passed. Why aren't they out yet? Did they all die inside? The desolate land of death is full of dangers. Even the experts of the Saint Realm will die if they go in. A great emperor once went in and came out with a serious expression. It's definitely dangerous inside. That brat has been in there for so long. He probably won't survive. It'll wait for one more day. After one day, it'll go back and report. Emohi thought with a frown. Another day passed quickly. It seems that this kid has died inside. Let's go back. Emohi turned around and stepped on the air, planning to leave. As for the 5 7th level Royal Realm martial artists, they were just like ants in his eyes. He did not care about them at all. You're leaving? The time is still too short. But the great formation that has been inscribed for 2 days should be able to kill this person. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Then he circulated his essential core, and his body trembled. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Following that, Lu Ming struck a huge rock at the side with his palm, causing it to explode with a loud boom. In the distance, Emohi, who was about to leave, was successfully alarmed and looked over. Lu Ming, you're not dead. Emohi's eyes widened as he roared. Buzz. Lu Ming could not be bothered with Emohi. He pretended that he had just rushed out of the desolate land of death and was seriously injured. He flew wildly into the distance. You want to run? Die. Emohi shouted angrily and turned into a ray of demonic light, chasing after Lu Ming at top speed. Black wings appeared on Lu Ming's back. With a flap, he flew toward the mountain peak like lightning. When they were about to reach, Lu Ming dashed into the canyon. As for his second body and Dandan, they had already hidden themselves. Emohi did not doubt him. He followed Lu Ming and rushed into the valley. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly stopped. Why aren't you running? Do you know that you can't escape? Where are the few from my Tianyu demon sect? Emohi coldly spoke. Those good-for-nothings are all dead. Lu Ming smiled faintly. You're indeed a piece of trash. You can't even kill a LV2 Martial Royal Realm ant like you. You deserve to die. Emohi said coldly. The demonic chi on his body rolled and pressed toward Lu Ming. Ants. Then I'll show you the counterattack of an ant. Lu Ming smiled coldly and took a step forward. Buzz. The entire canyon was filled with dense inscriptions, and a large array appeared. Killing formation you. You came out long ago. As soon as the formation was out, Emohi's expression changed drastically. He finally understood that Lu Ming had come out long ago and set up the formation here to lure him here. Kill. Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk nonsense with him. He shouted. In the depths of the canyon, Ming Lian waved his hands, and the formation lit up. Endless sword radiance condensed and charged toward Emohi. You want to kill me with a formation? In your dreams. Break. Emohi let out a long roar, and the demonic chi on his body soared to the sky. Vaguely, he seemed to see a demonic god roaring at the sky. His demonic domain combined with his spiritual body and released demonic blades that destroyed the sword rays that were coming at him. Chapter 1483. 1483 Chapter 1483 Entrapping Mo. The formation appeared, and the inscriptions glowed. In the depths of the valley, the Ming Lian Buddha's forehead glowed with golden light. Golden sword energy formed within the formation. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The golden sword radiance swept across and attacked Emohi from all directions. Break, break, break. Emohi looked up to the sky and let out a long roar. His entire body was filled with demonic light, and his pitch-black demonic blade swept in all directions. Like an unrivaled demonic god, he had a kind of Bini spirit. Wherever the demonic blade passed, the golden sword chi collapsed. Not far away, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Emohi had such a strong combat strength. When he fought with Emohi a few days ago, Emohi didn't even use his full strength. The combat strength that he was displaying now was extremely shocking. Although there were only 2 days, the formation set up by the secondary body of inscription would not have too terrifying a power. But it should not be too much of a problem to kill a LV8 Martial Royal Realm expert. But now it was blocked by Emohi, a superior earth spiritual body. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Emohi's spiritual body should be a superior earth spiritual body. With such a body, his combat strength was extremely shocking. In the entire Azure region, there were countless forces of various sizes, but there weren't many upper-class earth spiritual bodies. Every one of them was a top-tier heaven's favorite, invincible among those of the same level, and fighting against those of a higher level was as easy as eating and drinking. What's the use of a formation? It'll break your great formation. Emohi let out a long roar. His momentum was like a rainbow, and his demonic blade was shocking. With one slash, countless golden sword lights collapsed. Boom! A demonic blade slashed at a valley on the side. The valley trembled and crumbled. The power was shocking. He wanted to break through the canyon and destroy Lu Ming's array. Hehe, then I'll give you another big gift. At this moment, Dandan had already moved from Ming Lian's secondary body to Lu Ming's main Buddha's shoulder. She grinned and inscriptions flashed on her claws. Buzz! In the valley another large array appeared. This was the great formation set up by Dandan. The formation appeared and formed a huge hammer, which smashed at Emohi's face. Boom! 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 As the hammer fell, Emohi's demonic blade trembled. His body also trembled, and he took a few steps back. Then the endless sword chi stabbed down, and the huge hammer smashed down. Emohi's expression was grave, as he slashed out a saber radiance. However, it was cut off by the huge hammer. Under the continuous attacks, it collapsed. Haha, smash, 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 smash this bastard to death. No, I'll smash this piece of shit to death. Dandan shouted arrogantly and kept waving her claws. Emohi was finally completely suppressed. He could not fight back, and could only defend passively. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sword chi was everywhere. Some of them almost chopped off Emohi's head, leaving a bloody mark on his face. A look of fear flashed across Emohi's face. Magical night mirror appear. Emohi shouted in a low voice. A beam of light shot out from between his brows. Then, a pitch-black ancient mirror flew out and suspended above Emohi's head. It sprinkled down a beam of light, and enveloped Mohe. The surrounding sword chi and the giant hammer struck the light screen scattered by the ancient mirror. The light screen trembled, but it didn't break. Holy weapon! Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The ancient mirror that Mohe used was a saint weapon. It was normal to think about it. It was normal for a genius like Mohe to have a saint weapon to protect himself. Mohe used his saint weapon to protect himself, giving up his own defense and focusing on exploding. Boom! Boom! The demonic blade swept in all directions and collided with the golden sword radiance and the hammer. The two large arrays began to shake. Kill! Mohe slowly charged in one direction, breaking through the sword chi and the hammer, and slowly approached the exit of the canyon. If this continued, Mohe would most likely escape. It seems like I've underestimated the strength of a heaven's favorite. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind, but the murderous intent in his eyes grew stronger. Dandan and Bubble, do it! Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Dandan and Bubbles. Then, he spread the black wings on his back and rushed towards Mohe with a swoosh. In the process of rushing out, Lu Ming's hands were rapidly forming seals. Primal Chaos Sky-turning seal. A low roar came from Lu Ming's mouth. A great seal of chaos condensed above Mohe's head. With terrifying fluctuations, it pressed down on Mohe. At the same time, Dandan flew out and expanded rapidly. Just like last time, she stepped on the Chaos Sky-turning seal with both feet, making the power of the Chaos Sky-turning seal even more terrifying. The Chaos Sky-turning seal pressed down on Mohe with an earth-shattering force. Mohe's eyes narrowed. He knew the power of the Chaos Sky-turning seal very well. At this time, he let out an angry roar, and the pitch-black ancient mirror emitted 10,000 zhang of demonic light, welcoming the Chaos Sky-turning seal. Boom! With a terrifying boom, the Chaos Sky-turning stamp struck the pitch-black ancient mirror, causing a terrifying blast. At this time, Lu Ming had already rushed to a place not far from Mohe. His eyes suddenly shot out two black rays of light at Mohe. Godly sword technique. The jet-black light was like a divine sword, shooting into Mohe's body and attacking his spiritual god. Mohe felt a tearing pain in his spiritual god, which made his chi and the circulation of his true yuan slow down. At this moment, Bubbles launched an attack. A few space-time blades slashed towards Mohe. At the same time, the two great formations, Endless Golden Sword Chi and the huge hammer, also bombarded Mohe. Boom! Boom! Mohe's body trembled violently. Although he tried his best to resist, his defense was finally broken by so many attacks. The scattered light from the black ancient mirror collapsed with a bang. Slash! The black wings on Lu Ming's back were like heavenly blades. They slashed at Mohe, trying to cut him in half. Mohe's pupils contracted sharply. At the critical moment, he moved sideways. Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere. Although Mohe had avoided the fatal disaster, he still couldn't completely avoid it. One of his arms was cut off by the black wing. Arg! Mohe screamed with madness in his eyes. With a furious roar, the blood from his broken arm flew toward the pitch-black ancient mirror. At this moment, the mirror shone with a bright light, emitting a dark red demonic light and a terrifying power. Lu Ming hurriedly used the black wings to shield his body. His body trembled as he was hit by the force, and he was sent flying, crashing into the wall. Similarly, the power of the Chaos Sky-turning seal was finally exhausted, and it collapsed. It was screaming and shouting as it was sent flying. The golden sword radiance and giant hammer that the formation had condensed were also destroyed. Lu Ming, I'll remember this. The next time we meet, I'll definitely kill you. A furious roar came from Mohe's mouth. The pitch-black ancient mirror exuded a blood-red light, wrapped around Mohe, and suddenly rushed out of the scope of the formation, out of the canyon, turned into a blood-red light, and fled away at an extreme speed. It's a pity that the time is too short, and the power of the formation is not enough. Lu Ming looked in the direction where Mohe had left, feeling a little regretful. If he was given 2 more days to refine the second body, the power of the formation would be even stronger, and he would definitely be able to kill Mohe. Chapter 1484. 1484 Chapter 1484 Dandan leaves Lu Ming's eyes flickered, and he looked toward the valley. One of Emohi's arms was left there, and one of his fingers was wearing a storage ring. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. Emohi's arm that was cut off was the one with the storage ring. Circulating his true yuan, he pulled Emohi's storage ring over and held it in his hand. At this moment, Ming Lian's clone walked out from the depths of the canyon. He turned into a ray of light and disappeared into Lu Ming's glabella. The inscription "Refined Secondary Body" was very rare. It could be considered as one of Lu Ming's trump cards. In the Yuan continent, not many people knew about it. Therefore, Lu Ming would try his best not to expose it. That was why Lu Ming had left Ming Lian in the depths of the canyon to control the array, just in case Emohi escaped. In this way, Emohi didn't know about the existence of the Ming Lian clone. In the Yuan continent, experts were as common as clouds and as common as rain. Danger was everywhere. If he could keep a trump card, he might be able to save his life at a critical moment. Lu Ming was very clear about how many dangers he had experienced along the way. Let's leave this place. With a flap of his black wings, Lu Ming soared into the sky and flew into the distance. It was not safe to stay here for long. There might be experts from the Tianyu demon sect coming later. Very quickly, they had flown millions of miles. At this time, Lu Ming's speed slowed down. Lu Ming, stop for a moment. Dandan suddenly shouted. Lu Ming stopped and asked Dandan what was the matter. Lu Ming, I'll be taking my leave now. Dandan muttered. You're leaving? Lu Ming was stunned. Dandan nodded and said, in the past, in that godforsaken place of the divine wilderness continent, there was no place to go. But it's different here. There are dangerous places and forbidden lands everywhere. But there are also fortuitous encounters everywhere. This is where I roam. I will rise up against the heavens, and if I continue to stay, I will soon be left behind by this little thing. At the end of her sentence, Dandan glanced at Bubbles. Lu Ming was speechless. Could it be that this fellow wanted to leave after seeing that he was about to be shaken off by Bubbles? Lu Ming, you've seen the battle between the creature and the heavenly bull, haven't you? Although the heavenly bull is guarding the place, it's useless. There's more than one gap. The battle will come sooner or later, and it's earlier than I expected. When that time comes, the world will fall apart. If I'm not careful, the entire world will be destroyed. I must improve my strength as soon as possible. Dandan's face was solemn, which was rare, and she said in a heavy tone, Dandan, the battle you often talk about, what exactly is it? Who was the enemy? Could it be that three-eyed creature? What exactly is that three-eyed creature? Lu Ming asked a series of questions. Dandan shook her head and said, your cultivation base is too weak. I can't tell you for the time being. If I tell you, it will only distract you. You only need to know that the enemies you will face in the future are the real enemies, the real terrifying enemies. Some of the enemies you are facing now are child's play, small fights. That battle will be the peak battle, and it may also be the last battle. Judging from the current situation, it will be here soon. So, you should improve your strength as soon as possible. I'm leaving. After saying that, his body turned into a ray of light and rushed into the distance. However, in the next moment, there was a flash of light and Dandan flew back. She looked at Lu Ming with a wicked smile and said, Lu Ming, I'm leaving. Aren't you going to give me some spirit herbs? Get lost. Lu Ming smacked his palm and disappeared into the horizon. Ah, Lu Ming, you heartless guy. Dandan's voice came from afar and then disappeared without a trace. This fellow. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of reluctance. Although Dandan's words were unreliable, she had been following Lu Ming for so many years. From the moment Lu Ming left the Blazing Sun Empire, she had been following him. In the blink of an eye, it had been almost 10 years. If he were to leave now, he would be somewhat reluctant. However, Lu Ming also understood that Dandan was right. If this guy followed him, his recovery would be slower. In a place like the Yuan continent, Dandan might recover faster if she was alone. As for Dandan's safety, Lu Ming was not worried. This fellow was sinister and cunning. Furthermore, he was knowledgeable and would be fine. I need to find a place to enter closed-door cultivation and comprehend it. Lu Ming muttered. The scenes of the battle between the Titan longhorn beetle and the three-eyed creature flashed through his mind. The scene was too shocking. The Titan longhorn beetle had the great Tao on its body. Its every move seemed to contain the truth of heaven and earth, and the aura of the great Tao. Lu Ming's chaos domain seemed to throb at the thought of it. However, Lu Ming also noticed something. As time passed, the image of the Titan longhorn beetle in his mind became fainter and fainter. The aura of the great Tao, and the touch it had on the great Tao also became fainter and fainter. It would probably disappear soon. Therefore, Lu Ming wanted to find a place to cultivate in seclusion immediately. Otherwise it would be a waste. With a flap of his black wings, Lu Ming left the place. An hour later, Lu Ming found a hidden place and sat down cross-legged. The scenes of the battle between the Titan longhorn beetle and the three-eyed creature constantly replaying in his mind. Lu Ming's understanding of the chaos realm was rapidly deepening. Time quickly passed. In the blink of an eye, half a month had gone by. At this moment, the chaos domain spread out from Lu Ming's body and spread in all directions. The area it covered was twice as large as before. In the past half a month, the chaos domain had rapidly improved and advanced at a tremendous pace. Now it had even broken through and entered level 3, third level primal chaos domain. At this moment, the battle between the Titan longhorn and the three-eyed creature still remained in Lu Ming's mind. However, it had faded and he could no longer sense the aura of the great Tao. However, Lu Ming was still very satisfied. If he cultivated normally, it would take at least a year or two for his chaos domain to break through to the third level. But now he had only used half a month to break through to level 3. His gains were already very great. However, Lu Ming's cultivation was still at the early stage of the second level martial royal realm. He had not made a breakthrough. However, with the breakthrough in the chaos domain, it was much easier to raise one's cultivation. At this moment, a storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was Emohi's storage ring. During this period of time, Lu Ming had been focused on comprehending and had not had the time to open it. He broke Emohi's brand on the storage ring and scanned it with his spiritual senses. Lu Ming could see everything in the storage ring at a glance. There were tens of millions of medium-grade raw stones. Lu Ming had made a huge profit. There were also other spiritual herbs and materials. Lu Ming only took a quick glance. There were also a few emperor spiritual weapons. Finally, Lu Ming's gaze fell on a blue crystal combat sword. This crystal sword was filled with a powerful aura. Holy weapon. This was a holy weapon. There seemed to be water flowing on it. This was a water-attributed holy weapon. Lu Ming guessed that Emohi was kept in the storage ring because its attributes did not match with Emohi's. Lu Ming had made a fortune from it. This saint weapon could be exchanged for 1,000,000 contribution points at Dragon God Valley. It could be exchanged for a pile of treasures. Chapter 1485. 1485 Chapter 1485 Yinfeng Revolt. Time to go back. Lu Ming put away the storage ring and used his movement technique to continue his journey to Dragon God Valley. 7 days later, Dragon God Valley was in sight. When they returned to the Dragon God Valley, the temperature began to drop sharply. At a glance, the sky was covered in snow. The world was white. Lu Ming flew toward the outer valley. With his current status, he naturally would not stop him. However, he did not notice that when he had just flown into the outer valley, there were a few pairs of eyes that were staring at Lu Ming. Lu Ming is back. He's not dead. Report to young master. A voice rang out. Someone took out a jade transmission talisman and sent a message. Lu Ming flew towards Cloud Dragon Valley. However, he was stopped by a few young men before he could fly halfway. The 3 young men stood in front of Lu Ming and glared at him with hostility. Lu Ming, you still dare to come back? The young man in the middle looked at Lu Ming coldly. Why wouldn't I dare to come back? But why are you blocking my way? Lu Ming frowned. What is it? Lu Ming, let me ask you. You went out to complete a mission with my elder brother, Su Long, and the rest. Why are you the only one who came back? My elder brother and the rest did not. Tell me, did you collude with outsiders and kill my elder brother and the rest at the sight of money? A young man in the middle shouted, Su Long's younger brother? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. No wonder he looks similar to Su Long. Regarding Su Long and the others, I will report to the elders of the Hall of Mission and explain it clearly. Lu Ming said. Explain what? My big brother and the rest must have been killed by you. Now come with me to the Dragon Punishment Hall and accept your punishment. Su Long's brother shouted. The commotion here naturally alerted the others. At this time, many passers-by came over to watch and discuss. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a ray of light. These people seemed to have planned this long ago. Lu Ming had just returned, but these people immediately knew about it and blocked his way. Clearly, someone in the outer valley had been waiting for his return. The purpose was to wait for Lu Ming to come back and launch an attack. The first person that Lu Ming thought of was Yinfeng. Su Long, Duan Yan, and Fu Xing had been sent by Yinfeng. The Dragon Punishment Hall was the place of law enforcement in the Dragon God Valley. It was possible that there were people from Yinfeng. If Lu Ming went to the Dragon Punishment Hall, his life would not be in his own hands. Why would Lu Ming go to the Dragon Punishment Hall? Get out of the way. I've said that there's something else about Su Long and the others. It has nothing to do with me. Lu Ming shouted coldly. Don't even think about it. You have to go to the Dragon Punishment Hall with me today. Su Long's younger brother's eyes gleamed sharply. He stepped forward and stretched out his hand to grab Lu Ming. Get lost, die. Lu Ming shouted and took a step forward. 9 dragons rushed out from under his feet and crashed into Su Long's younger brother. Su Long screamed in pain as his body was sent flying, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming took a step forward. His body was like a fleeting light and a fleeting shadow. He rushed past and flew towards Cloud Dragon Valley. Lu Ming knew that the death of Su Long and the rest was most likely known to Yinfeng and the rest. They were waiting for Lu Ming to come back, slander him, and deal with him. Very soon Lu Ming arrived at Cloud Dragon Valley. Senior brother Lu. At the entrance of Cloud Dragon Valley, 2 ordinary disciples bowed to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded at the 2 of them and continued to move forward, walking into the depths of Cloud Dragon Valley. He wanted to find the Cloud Dragon Valley Master, or Longyuan Mountain, to explain the mission. However, before they could go far, they heard a commotion coming from the entrance of the valley. Get Lu Ming to come out. A furious roar was heard. He's really fast. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He turned around and walked toward the entrance of the valley. At the entrance of Cloud Dragon Valley, a group of people were blocking the way. Su Long's brother was among them. Yinfeng was also among them. Behind him was a large group of people. Some of them were wearing golden dragon robes and had an imposing aura. They were obviously from the Dragon Punishment Palace. At this moment 2 Cloud Dragon Valley disciples stood in front of the crowd. Everyone, this is Cloud Dragon Valley. Those who are not from Cloud Dragon Valley are not allowed to enter. A disciple said, Get Lu Ming out here. He colluded with outsiders and took advantage of the mission to murder his fellow disciples. He has committed a heinous crime and must be arrested and brought to the Dragon Punishment Hall for interrogation. Yinfeng coldly said, Everyone, senior brother Lu Ming is the Valley Master's direct disciple. Even if something were to happen, the Dragon Punishment Hall's elders would have to inform the Valley Master first, and the Valley Master would then come forward to investigate the matter. A Cloud Dragon Valley disciple said, There's irrefutable evidence of Lu Ming killing his fellow disciples. There's no need to trouble Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Just bring him to the Dragon Punishment Hall. Get lost. Let us go in and capture Lu Ming. Yinfeng berated. No, you can't barge into Cloud Dragon Valley. 2 Cloud Dragon Valley disciples tried to stop him. Get lost. Behind Yinfeng, a burly young man shouted angrily and struck out with his palm. The 2 Cloud Dragon Valley disciples groaned and fell back. A trace of blood seeped out of the corner of their mouths. Today, Lu Ming must go to the Dragon Punishment Hall and accept his punishment. Yinfeng berated. You guys are looking for me? A cold voice was heard and Lu Ming's figure appeared in a flash. Lu Ming. Yinfeng's eyes focused. Yinfeng, you're getting bolder and bolder. You brought people to break into Cloud Dragon Valley and even injured our disciples. It seems that you really don't respect Cloud Dragon Valley. Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, we're here to capture you. You were hiding in the Cloud Dragon Valley. We had no choice but to barge in. Lu Ming, it's good that you've appeared. Did you collude with outsiders to kill Su Long, Duan Yen, and the other two? Yin Feng started to quibble, and then asked Lu Ming directly. Duan Yen, I didn't kill Fu Xing and the others. Lu Ming said indifferently. You're still trying to deny it. Lu Ming, let me tell you. I've personally led my men to the Feng residence, and found the corpses of Duan Yen, Fu Xing, and Su Long in a cave. Su Long was clearly killed by you, and that was clearly the cultivation technique you used. Also, your aura still remains on Su Long's corpse. Are you still going to say that you didn't kill him? Yin Feng shouted coldly. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. It seemed that Yin Feng really hated him to the core, and wanted him dead. He had actually sent someone to the Feng family to investigate. Su Long had indeed been killed by Lu Ming's chaos domain, and the prison-suppressing heavenly technique. But at that time Su Long wanted to kill him, so he naturally had to kill him. Now, Yin Feng had caught on to this point. Yes, I did kill Su Long, Lu Ming said. This made many people's hearts tremble. Yin Feng revealed a look of ecstasy and shouted. Everyone, you heard it, right? Lu Ming himself admitted that he killed Su Long. How can such a vicious person, who harmed his fellow disciples, be allowed to live in this world? Today, the Dragon Punishment Hall must kill this person, and avenge Su Long and his fellow disciples. The Dragon Punishment Palace will not let him off for killing his fellow disciples. Behind Yin Feng, a young man from the Dragon Punishment Palace Hall coldly said. Chapter 1486. 1486. Because I am strong. Lu Ming looked at Yin Feng, and the rest coldly. The corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile as he said, I killed Su Long because Su Long wanted to kill me first. Do you think I can't fight back and let him kill me? Lu Ming's voice was heard and everyone fell silent. Nonsense. Su Long has no enmity with you. Why would he want to kill you? Ridiculous. Yin Feng scolded. Do I have to ask you this? Lu Ming looked at Yin Feng and sneered, as if he was implying something. Yin Feng's expression changed slightly, then he sneered. Lu Ming, Su Long is dead. You can say whatever you want since the dead can't testify. However, you can't change the fact no matter how much you say. The fact is that you killed Su Long with your own hands. The evidence is irrefutable. You can't change that. You must accept your punishment. Yin Feng, why are you in such a hurry? Since you all want to know the truth, I'll tell you. Lu Ming glanced at Yin Feng indifferently and said, that time, when we were on a mission, we met a strong enemy. Duan Yen, Fu Xing, and Zhang Kong were all killed by the strong enemy. Su Long even surrendered to the enemy, and was controlled by the enemy. He wanted to kill me, so I killed him. Lu Ming briefly explained the mission. Nonsense. As far as I know, Duan Yen and Fu Xing are both at the LV3 Martial Emperor realm, while Su Long is at the LV4 Martial Emperor realm. You met a strong enemy and both of them died. But you, a mere ant from a savage island, survived. Isn't that ridiculous? Do you really think we're fools? Yin Feng sneered. You're not an idiot, you're an idiot. Lu Ming said indifferently. You. Yin Feng's expression was ugly. Let me tell you. There's only one reason why they're dead and I'm not. It's because I'm strong. Lu Ming said loudly. Because I'm strong. It was a very simple reason, but it explained everything. Why did Su Long and the rest die but Lu Ming did not? It was because Lu Ming was strong and he was stronger. That was why he did not die. Haha, you're strong? Su Long's cultivation is at LV4 Martial Emperor realm. You're just an ant from a savage island, who has just broken through to the Martial Emperor realm not long ago. How dare you say you're strong? What a joke. I'll see how strong you are. Men, take him down. Yin Feng shouted. As soon as Yin Feng's voice fell, two young men from the Dragon Punishment Hall rushed out from behind him. Each of them held a dragon lock chain in their hands as they pounced on Lu Ming and shouted, Surrender! Get lost! Lu Ming shouted, and took a few steps forward. The 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps burst forth, and the earth trembled. The ground trembled like waves, and a terrifying force surged toward the 2 youths of the Dragon Punishment Palace. Boom! Boom! The two young men of the Dragon Punishment Palace were shocked. They spat out a mouthful of blood and were sent flying. So strong. Many people were shocked. With just a few steps, Lu Ming had injured two third-level martial royal realm youths of the Dragon Punishment Hall. His combat strength was shocking. How dare you resist arrest? You're courting death. Someone shouted from behind Yin Feng. A few figures rushed out with violent auras. Before they even arrived, their powerful chi swept towards Lu Ming like a gale. The fourth level of the Martial Emperor Realm. The 3LV4 Martial Royal Realm experts pounced toward Lu Ming. Get lost! Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning. He shouted and swung his fists continuously. Boom! 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 The fist force seemed to be able to penetrate the void and hit the 3/4 level Martial Royal Realm youths. The terrifying fist force instantly shattered the attack and defense of the 3 Dragon Punishment Halls. The 3 of them were sent flying like kites with broken strings. They flew out of the Cloud Dragon Valley and fell heavily on the ground. Gasps could be heard at the scene. With one move, 3 LV4 Martial Royal Realm experts of the Dragon Punishment Hall were injured and sent flying. What kind of combat strength was this? Su Long, a LV4 Martial Emperor Realm martial artist, is nothing. At this moment, they recalled what Lu Ming said earlier. Because I'm strong. That's right. Lu Ming was strong. Hence he did not die, but Su Long and the rest did. Damn it, damn it. Yin Feng roared in his heart, and his eyes were filled with jealousy. Lu Ming had become stronger after not seeing him for a while. How did an ant from a savage island become so strong? This caused a chill to appear in the depths of Yin Feng's heart. The stronger Lu Ming was, the greater the danger he would be in. He must not let Lu Ming grow. This man is lawless and has harmed his fellow disciples. He's like an evil demon. Now he even dares to injure the people of the Dragon Punishment Hall. He deserves to be killed. Everyone, I suggest that we kill him on the spot as a warning to the others. Yin Feng's voice was heard. That's right, kill him on the spot. A cold voice rang out. More than a dozen experts of the Dragon Punishment Hall rushed out from behind Yin Feng, and their powerful auras burst out. 2 of them were at the peak of the 6th level Martial Royal Realm, while the rest were at the 5th and 4th levels. So many experts wanted to kill Lu Ming here and now. Kill! A youth at the peak of the 6th level Martial Emperor Realm shouted, and pounced toward Lu Ming like a true dragon. His violent aura pressed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The cultivation of a peak LV6 Martial Royal Realm expert was much higher than his. Just as Lu Ming was about to go all out, a white figure suddenly appeared in front of him and threw a punch at the youth at the peak of the 6th level Martial Emperor Realm. The fist wasn't big, but it exuded a domineering aura that could destroy everything. Boom! The arm of the youth at the peak of the LV6 Martial Royal Realm exploded. He flew back for thousands of meters and fell heavily on the ground. Boom! Boom! Then the figure threw a dozen punches in a row. The dozen experts of the Dragon Punishment Palace were sent flying with blood-curdling screeches. Let's see who dares to be impudent in Cloud Dragon Valley. A delicate voice rang out. 8th Senior Sister. Lu Ming was stunned. The person who had suddenly appeared and dealt a heavy blow to the Dragon Punishment Hall's experts was Lu Ming's 8th Senior Sister, Xuanixin. That snow dragon. Little junior brother, are you all right? Xuanixin asked with concern. I'm fine. Lu Ming shook his head. You. What are you doing? How dare you injure so many people of the Dragon Punishment Palace? How dare you? Yin Feng pointed at Xuanixin and scolded. Shut up. Xuanixin shouted angrily. Her face was covered with a layer of frost. You've trespassed Cloud Dragon Valley and captured my junior brother. If you take one more step forward, I won't just hurt them. I'll break your dog heads. An ice-cold killing intent emanated from Xuanixin's body. Many people swallowed their saliva. So domineering. If they took one more step, she would directly smash their dog heads. This was lawless. Lu Ming could not help but touch his nose. He did not expect the senior sister to be so overbearing. He suddenly felt that he was too kind. Xuanixin, the Dragon Punishment Hall handles matters impartially. Your junior brother has killed a fellow disciple, and the evidence is irrefutable. He must be brought to the Dragon Punishment Hall to be punished. A young man from the Dragon Punishment Hall beside Yinfeng spoke. A shocking aura emanated from his body. 7th level Martial Emperor Realm. Chapter 1487. 1487 The powerful Xue Ningxin this time. Even a LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert had been dispatched. It could be seen how strong Yinfeng's desire to kill Lu Ming was. Killing fellow disciples? What a joke. My junior brother just killed a good-for-nothing. What's the big deal? It's just a waste of resources to keep such a good-for-nothing in Dragon God Valley. It's better to kill him earlier. Xue Ningxin said coldly. Many people were dumbfounded. What kind of logic was this? This was really too overbearing, too arrogant. You, the LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert, and Yinfeng were both stunned. They did not know what to say to Xue Ningxin. It was completely unreasonable. Now get lost. Otherwise I'll throw them out one by one. Xue Ningxin scolded. Xue Ningxin, it seems that you must interfere today. Then, I will take you down as well. The 7th level Martial Royal Realm expert said coldly. A powerful and terrifying aura burst out and pressed toward Xue Ningxin. Boom! Xue Ningxin's body also exploded with a powerful aura. The 5th level of the Martial Emperor Realm. Everyone could see that Xue Ningxin's cultivation was at the LV5 Martial Royal Realm. However, her powerful aura was extremely shocking. She could actually contend with the LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert. 1000 Mountain Fist kill. Die. The LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert suddenly shouted and stepped forward, throwing a punch at Xue Ningxin. With a punch, it was as if a heavy mountain had appeared in the sky, pressing down on Xue Ningxin. Roar! At this moment, a dragon's roar came from Xue Ningxin's body, which made her aura even stronger. Xue Ningxin also threw out a punch. With a punch, Xue Ningxin's fist seemed to have turned into ice, emitting a terrifying cold air. Boom! Xue Ningxin's fist clashed with the heavy mountain. A terrifying explosion sounded at the scene. Then the mountain was directly frozen and exploded. Waves of terrifying cold currents spread in all directions. The temperature at the scene dropped sharply. Some of the people with low cultivation levels shivered and were covered in a layer of frost. The LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert and Xue Ningxin's bodies trembled at the same time, and they retreated. So strong! What a freak! A thought flashed through many people's minds, and they looked at Xue Ningxin in shock. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with surprise. Xue Ningxin's combat power was beyond his imagination. Xue Ningxin, who was only at the 5th level of the Martial Royal Realm, was able to fight against a LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert. It should be known that a LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert was already a high-level Martial Royal Realm expert. Her combat strength was absolutely shocking and had stepped into another level. In a sect like Dragon God Valley, a high-level Martial Royal Realm expert was considered a middle-rank power. Again, Xue Ningxin stepped back, her eyes filled with excitement. A dragon's roar came from her body, and above her head, a white snow dragon's shadow could be seen. This senior sister really likes to fight. Lu Ming could not help but think this way. He recalled the first time he met Xue Ningxin, when Xue Ningxin threw a punch without saying anything. Stop! Right at this moment, an elder suddenly appeared in the sky. His powerful aura filled the entire area, causing everyone to feel a terrifying pressure. A sage. Without a doubt, the elder in the sky was a saint. This old man was wearing a long golden dragon robe, which was almost the same as the ones worn by the people of the Dragon Punishment Palace. An elder of the Dragon Punishment Palace. This subordinate pays his respects to the elder. As expected, the youths of the Dragon Punishment Hall saluted the old man. The others followed suit. When the Dragon Punishment Palace's elder arrived, Xue Ningxin and the LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert naturally stopped fighting at the same time. What's going on? The Dragon Punishment Palace's elder asked with a frown. Previously, he had been informed that many experts of the Dragon Punishment Palace had gathered in Cloud Dragon Valley. He had immediately rushed over and just happened to see the scene of Xue Ningxin fighting with the experts of the Dragon Punishment Palace. Elder, Yinfeng, the grandson of the master of Silver Dragon Valley. Yin Feng reported his name first and then said, "It's like this. Lu Ming killed his fellow disciples and plotted to seize their treasures. He's guilty of the most heinous crimes. The senior brothers of the Dragon Punishment Hall and I are about to arrest him. Killing fellow disciples?" A cold glint flickered in the Dragon Punishment Hall's elder's eyes. He looked at Lu Ming and said, "Is there such a thing? Yinfeng's mouth is like a dog's. He's just randomly biting people." Lu Ming said indifferently, "Lu Ming, what did you just say?" Yin Feng glared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming actually dared to call him a dog. "Dog, silver dog," Lu Ming said calmly. Yin Feng's face turned green with anger. He cupped his fists at the Dragon Punishment Palace's elder and said, "Elder, there is irrefutable evidence that this man has killed his fellow disciples. I have already sent someone to collect the evidence. I hope that elder will handle this matter impartially. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the others in Dragon God Valley will be disappointed." "Lu Ming, what do you have to say?" The elder of the Dragon Punishment Hall looked at Lu Ming. "Of course I have something to say, because Su Long is being controlled by someone." Following that, Lu Ming explained the mission of this trip. This time, it was more clear than the previous time. Of course, Lu Ming had skipped over some important points or modified them slightly. For example, when Elder Mo Hun chased after Lu Ming used the prison-suppressing steel to destroy his physical body. Lu Ming did not mention this. He only said that the other party was seriously injured and could not catch up with him. "What did you just say? Evil spirit?" When Lu Ming finished speaking, a terrifying aura emanated from the Dragon Punishment Hall's elder, and a hint of fear appeared in his eyes. "Yes, elder." Lu Ming bowed, but he was shocked. When Lu Ming mentioned the evil spirit cult, the elder's eyes were filled with fear. This fear was similar to Su Long's back then. It was from the bottom of his heart. He looked around and saw that many of the Dragon God Valley disciples had a look of fear in their eyes after hearing about evil spirit. An elder of evil spirit is still alive? Could it be that evil spirit is going to rise from the ashes? The Dragon Punishment Palace's elder muttered to himself as the fear in his eyes grew. "Lu Ming, you're talking nonsense. The evil spirit cult was annihilated by the combined forces of countless forces on the mainland 80,000 years ago. What elder of the evil spirit cult? He's been alive for 80,000 years. That's all bullshit. The dead can't prove anything now. You can deny it however you want." Yin Feng shouted as his eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Today, he had to take this opportunity to kill Lu Ming, or at least cripple his cultivation. "Lu Ming, do you have any witnesses for everything you've said? Do you have any evidence to prove that everything you said is true? Can you prove your innocence?" The Dragon Punishment Hall elder took a deep breath to calm himself down and looked at Lu Ming again. "The evidence is very simple. There are still many people alive in the Feng family, so there must be someone who knows the inside story. Find the Feng family and ask them. Then, you will know whether what I said is true or not," Lu Ming said. Chapter 1488. 1488 I'm so scared hee. At this moment, Yin Feng sneered and said, "I don't think we need to go to the Feng family. I've already brought people there, but they found out that the Feng family has been massacred. Not even a chicken or dog was left." At this point, Yin Feng's cold eyes looked at Lu Ming. "Lu Ming, you're so ruthless and decisive. You didn't leave any evidence behind." The unspoken meaning was obvious. Yin Feng was referring to the fact that Lu Ming had annihilated the Feng family. The Feng family had been exterminated. Lu Ming looked at Yin Feng, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. Needless to say, the Feng family's destruction was definitely Yinfeng's doing. He was afraid that Lu Ming would find the Feng family to testify for Lu Ming. What a ruthless method. In order to deal with Lu Ming, he directly exterminated the Feng family. Now he was slandering Lu Ming for exterminating the Feng family. The corners of Yin Feng's mouth curled into a cold smile as he looked at Lu Ming mockingly. Let's see how you're going to prove yourself." Yin Feng sneered in his heart. "Yin Feng, you've really put in a lot of effort to deal with me. You've annihilated the Feng family, destroyed the evidence, and framed me. I know you hate me. Back then, I stepped on your face 9 times in front of everyone. In the Emperor Tsang mystic realm, I beat you until you knelt in front of me. It is understandable that you hate me and want to take revenge on me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He pushed all the blame back to Yin Feng in a casual manner. Yin Feng had framed him in order to take revenge on him. You're talking nonsense. Yin Feng's face was extremely gloomy. Nonsense. Many people saw it. How am I talking nonsense? If you have the ability, kill all these people. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The Dragon Punishment Palace's elder also frowned. Lu Ming and Yin Feng both had their own reasons. He did not know who to listen to. Elder, Yin Feng hired his fellow disciples and tampered with the mission. He wanted Su Long, Duan Yen, and the others to kill me during the mission. After that, he massacred the entire Feng family and framed me. This person is insane and must be severely punished. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the elder of the Dragon Punishment Hall, turning the tables on Yin Feng. You're talking nonsense. This is slander, slander. Yin Feng roared. Slander? If you want to know the truth, it's very simple. As long as I capture you and search your soul, the truth will naturally be revealed. Lu Ming said as he strode toward Yin Feng. What do you want to do? You want to kill me? Yin Feng shouted. Stop. A figure stepped forward and stood in front of Lu Ming. It was the 7th level Martial Royal Realm youth from the Dragon Punishment Hall. Your opponent is me. Xue Ningxin appeared and threw a punch at the young man from the Dragon Punishment Palace. The 7th level Martial Royal Realm youth had no choice but to fight Xue Ningxin. As for Lu Ming, he continued to step toward Yin Feng. Attack, attack, kill this person. Yin Feng shouted. Buzz, buzz, buzz. One by one, the young men who had followed Yin Feng pounced on Lu Ming. Get lost, die. Lu Ming roared and his black wings appeared. With one flap, 5 to 6 young men spat out blood and were sent flying. In the air, the elder of the Dragon Punishment Hall raised his eyebrows. He was about to stop them, but at this moment, a voice entered his ears, making him stop. Bang! Lu Ming cast the wind element art. He took a step forward, and his speed increased dramatically as he rushed toward Yin Feng. Go back! Kill! There were at least a dozen young men charging toward Lu Ming. Some of them were even at the peak of the 5th level Martial Royal Realm. Buzz! And MBSB, the 3rd level Primal Chaos domain, spread out, enshrouding the youths within. These youths immediately felt a terrifying pressure press down on them, and their bones threatened to break. Some of the weaker ones sprawled on the ground and vomited blood. Then Lu Ming threw a punch. A terrifying fist force burst out and sent a few martial artists at the peak of the Martial Emperor realm flying. Many people gasped. Lu Ming was only at the 2nd level of the Martial Royal Realm, but even an expert at the peak of the 5th level was no match for him, and was sent flying. Lu Ming's figure was as fast as lightning as he approached Yin Feng. Yin Feng's face turned pale as he frantically retreated. He did not expect Lu Ming to be so bold as to capture him and search his soul. If he searched her soul, the truth would be revealed. He must not let Lu Ming take him down. However, Lu Ming's speed was too fast. He was approaching him at an extreme speed. The young man who came with him could not stop Lu Ming at all. Evil creature, you dare? At this moment, an angry roar came from the depths of the sky. The voice rumbled like a god. Then, a huge hand reached down from the clouds and grabbed Lu Ming. The terrifying pressure froze Lu Ming in place, rendering him unable to move. Master of Silver Dragon Valley. Lu Ming roared angrily. Lu Ming could tell from the voice that it was the Master of Silver Dragon Valley. The dignified Valley Master had actually attacked a junior like Lu Ming. Injung, you're really getting worse and worse. You attacked my disciple in front of Cloud Dragon Valley. Do you think I don't exist? A gentle voice came from the depths of Cloud Dragon Valley. Then, a sword light burst out and slashed at the big hand. The big hand was directly split into two, and then cracked. Yin Ruoxu. In the sky, a rumbling sound was heard. Then, with a flash of silver light, an old man in silver bubbles appeared. It was the Master of Silver Dragon Valley. And MBSB, the Master of Silver Dragon Valley, appeared and looked into the depths of Cloud Dragon Valley. In Cloud Dragon Valley, an old man stepped on a cloud. It was the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Minger, do what you should be doing. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master appeared and said indifferently. The meaning was obvious. He wanted Lu Ming to continue taking down Yinfeng. Junior, you dare? The Master of Silver Dragon Valley looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. I'm so scared. Lu Ming pursed his lips. He flapped his black wings, bringing with him a gust of strong wind as he rushed towards Yinfeng. Grandpa, save me! Yinfeng shouted. How audacious! And NBSP die! The Master of Silver Dragon roared, and a terrifying dragon roar came from his body as a silver-white light shot 10,000 meters into the air with terrifying energy. Yinzheng, if you want to fight, I'll accompany you. And NBSB, the Valley Master of Cloud Dragon, took a step forward and suddenly appeared in front of the Valley Master of Silver Dragon, slashing at him with his sword. The strike was plain, but the Valley Master's expression changed. Silver light burst out as he fought with the Valley Master. Boom! The two of them exchanged a blow, and the entire sky seemed to be split open by the sword light and silver light. The vast pressure almost made everyone breathless. Is this the Valley Master's strength? It's so strong. Many people were extremely shocked. Let's go up and fight. Let's go. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's voice rang out. He and the Silver Dragon Valley Master rushed into the void and began their battle. On the other hand, Lu Ming continued to attack Yinfeng. The few young men who were protecting Yinfeng were sent flying. No matter how frantically Yinfeng retreated, his speed was still far from Lu Ming's. Buzz! Lu Ming appeared in front of Yinfeng. The Chaos Domain crushed down, and Yinfeng spat out a large mouthful of blood. Then, Lu Ming grabbed Yinfeng's neck and flapped his black wings. He carried Yinfeng back to Cloud Dragon Valley. Chapter 1489. 1489. The domineering Cloud Dragon Valley Master at this moment. The battle in the sky had attracted everyone's attention. After Lu Ming took down Yinfeng, he looked up into the sky. The battle in the sky was extremely intense and had already reached the point of turning white. A ball of silver light and a sword light crisscrossed, and a dragon's roar pierced through the sky. All of a sudden, the sword light brightened. With a slash, the silver light was extinguished. Then, a figure retreated madly and appeared above everyone. It was the Master of Silver Dragon Valley. At this moment, a deep sword wound appeared on the Master's chest. The wound went straight to his heart, and he could even see his beating heart. And NBSB, the Master of Silver Dragon Valley, was suffused with silver light as his muscles wriggled. He wanted to heal the wound, but countless tiny wisps of sword chi were destroying his muscles, making it difficult for him to heal in a short time. And NBSB, the Master of Silver Dragon Valley, paled, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The crowd couldn't help but gasp with their eyes widened. The Valley Master of Silver Dragon Valley had been defeated and injured by the Valley Master of Cloud Dragon Valley. If the sword had been a little deeper, it would have pierced through the heart of the Valley Master of Silver Dragon Valley. The key was that the Valley Master of Silver Dragon Valley had been defeated in just a short while. It was obvious that there was a huge difference in their fighting strength. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master descended from the sky, his sword chi soaring into the sky. His entire body exuded a terrifying and sharp steam engine as his dignified voice rang out. You barged into Cloud Dragon Valley without permission. Do you think I'm easy to talk to? Yinzheng, I'll spare your life this time. But if there's a next time, I'll behead you. You! And NBSB, the Valley Master's face was extremely ugly, but he looked at the Valley Master with fear and disbelief. The others couldn't help but swallow their saliva. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had always given people a gentle impression. No one had expected him to have such terrifying combat strength. When he was angry, his aura was so terrifying and overbearing. He had even said that if there was a next time, he would kill the Silver Dragon Valley Master. The Master of Silver Dragon Valley was the master of a valley. The point was that the Master of Silver Dragon Valley didn't dare to argue. Everyone couldn't help but re-examine Cloud Dragon Valley. The Cloud Dragon Valley was a newly established dragon valley in the Dragon God Valley. It had the smallest population, and had always been regarded as the weakest. But was that really the case? The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was simply unfathomable. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master continued, "If my disciple is innocent, no one can frame him. Today, I will personally search his soul and see the truth." With that, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master took a step forward and appeared beside Lu Ming. "Grandpa," Yin Feng shouted in shock. "Yunruoxu, don't go too far. Don't overdo it," the Master of Silver Dragon Valley said. Laughable, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's eyes were cold as he said, "Enough? You've brought people to my Cloud Dragon Valley. Even you, the Valley Master, have to deal with me, a new disciple. Now you're telling me to stop?" And MBSB, the Master of Silver Dragon Valley, had a gloomy expression and was speechless. The others also shook their heads. That's right. Previously, it was Yin Feng who had led his men to attack Cloud Dragon Valley. He insisted that Lu Ming had killed his fellow disciples and wanted to take Lu Ming away. In the end, when he was no match for the Master of Silver Dragon Valley took the initiative to attack first. They had been the ones who kept pressing. To put it bluntly, Cloud Dragon Valley was just a counterattack. Soul Search, Yin Feng. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master shouted as his palm emitted a ray of light. He then extended a finger and pointed it at Yin Feng's forehead. Yin Feng cried out as his body immediately stiffened and his eyes became unfocused. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master personally began to search his soul. After a moment, a sharp glint flashed in the eyes of Valley Master Void Cloud as he said, "Today, I'll let the truth be revealed." With that, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's other hand glowed, and a translucent crystal appeared. Memory Crystal. Lu Ming's heart stirred. A memory crystal was a rare treasure. When one searched the soul, it could project the memories of the person being searched into a picture, so that others could see it. The memory crystal glowed, and an image appeared in the sky. In a courtyard, a young man stood with his hands behind his back. It was Yin Feng himself. And NBSB, there were 3 more people in front of Yin Feng who respectfully bowed. "That's Su Long." "That's right. The other 2 are Duan Yen and Fu Xing." Someone cried out in surprise, recognizing the person in the image. At this moment on the screen, Yin Feng said indifferently, "I've already arranged for this mission through a few deacons of the Hall of Missions. All of you will work together with Lu Ming and look for an opportunity to kill him during the mission, no matter what method you use. Yes, young Master Yin Feng, don't worry. I'll make sure that Lu Ming dies without anyone knowing. When the time comes, we just have to push it to the point where he died in a dangerous battle while carrying out a mission. No one will suspect anything." Su Long sneered, his eyes gleaming. "Don't worry, young master. They're just LV1 Martial Emperor Realm ants. I can kill them as easily as crushing an ant. This matter is definitely in the bag." Duan Yen and Fu Xing spoke separately and then discussed the specific details. At this point, the Master of Silver Dragon Valley looked gloomy. As for the others, they were enlightened. It seemed that Lu Ming was telling the truth. It was all because Yin Feng wanted to kill him. He actually arranged for someone to kill Lu Ming during the mission. Therefore, Lu Ming retaliated and killed Su Long. At this moment, the scene suddenly changed to another scene. This time, it was not about Lu Ming. Yin Feng was planning something else to deal with someone else. Damn it, so my little sister was killed by Yin Feng. To think I still believed him. A young man in the crowd suddenly shouted, his eyes red. "Shut up." The Master of Silver Dragon Valley glanced at the young man with cold, killing intent, which made the young man's face turn ugly. He gritted his teeth, but he didn't dare to say anything. "Yin Zheng, what a strong wind. Let's continue watching." The Cloud Dragon Valley Master smiled faintly as the image projected by the memory crystal changed again. It was another conspiracy of Yin Feng. After watching it, the scene changed again. Following that, at least a dozen scenes changed. They were all about how Yin Feng harmed other Dragon God Valley disciples, and even used his power to humiliate the other female disciples. "Ah, my family, it's all Yin Feng. My little sister." At the scene, there were a few angry roars coming from the family members of the people who had been harmed by Yin Feng. In the past, no one knew about it, but now it was all exposed. Finally, the scene changed to a mansion. Yin Feng was leading his men and massacring the people in the mansion. The Feng clan. Lu Ming spoke. He recognized that this was the Feng family mansion. One by one, the Feng family members fell in front of Yin Feng. Some of them were still old people and children. Some of them did not even cultivate martial arts. But they were all killed by Yin Feng. In the end, not even a chicken or dog was left alive. He burned the Feng family to the ground. Lu Ming, this time, let's see how you can quibble. Let's see who can testify for you. Standing high above the Feng family, Yin Feng's cold voice came out of his mouth. Chapter 1490. 1490 Chapter 1490. Slaying Yin Feng. The truth was out. Previously, Yin Feng said that Lu Ming killed the Feng family, and that was a lie. In fact, Yin Feng was the one who killed the Feng family, and he pushed the blame to Lu Ming. From the beginning to the end, it was Yin Feng who wanted to frame Lu Ming and harm him. What a vicious junior. He's acting like this just because he has a good grandfather. Hee. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master sneered. With a wave of his hand, he put away the memory crystal, and the image disappeared. As for Yin Feng, he sat on the ground limply, as if he had been drained of all his strength. After a long time he finally woke up. Grandpa, save me. After he woke up, Yin Feng shouted loudly. Shut up! Shut up! The master of Silver Dragon Valley shouted coldly. I've been in closed-door cultivation all these years. I've neglected to discipline this grandson of mine. Now hand him over to me. I'll definitely discipline him strictly when I return. Strict discipline? What a joke! Lu Ming's mocking voice was heard and he continued. Do you think you can offset Yin Feng's crime with a sentence of strict discipline? The master of Silver Dragon Valley looked at Lu Ming with cold eyes. Then what do you want? What Yin Feng has done concerns the entire Dragon God Valley. He must be dealt with according to the sect rules. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the Dragon Punishment Hall elder and said, Elder, everyone has seen what Yin Feng has done. He's simply insane and infuriating. According to Dragon God Valley's rules, how should he be dealt with? This. The Dragon Punishment Palace's elder started to hesitate and mumble. Yin Feng was the grandson of the Valley Master of Silver Dragon Valley. But Lu Ming was also the legacy disciple of the Valley Master of Cloud Dragon Valley. In addition, there were so many people present. For a moment, he did not know what to do. The Dragon Punishment Palace should handle this fairly. Otherwise, what's the use of the Dragon Punishment Palace? The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said coldly. At the scene, many pairs of eyes looked at the Dragon Punishment Palace's elder. In the end, the Dragon Punishment Palace's elder gritted his teeth and said, What Yin Feng has done is truly chilling. He has committed a terrible crime, and should be executed as a warning to others. Boom! The master of Silver Dragon Valley's aura went berserk, and a beam of silver light soared into the sky. On the other hand, Yin Feng's expression changed drastically and he shouted, No, Grandpa, save me. If I have to, then I'll do it. Lu Ming shouted. His essential core burst forth and condensed into a combat sword. Lu Ming, you dare? And in BSB die. The master of Silver Dragon Valley bellowed. Why wouldn't I dare? Lu Ming took a step forward, and his combat sword cut through the void, slashing horizontally. Yin Feng's head flew far away and blood splattered everywhere. A spiritual god appeared from Yin Feng's body in fear. However, with another slash of the combat sword, Yin Feng's spiritual god let out a miserable shriek and turned into ashes. Fenger, the master of Silver Dragon Valley, was furious. A violent killing intent burst out from his body. He stretched out a large hand, trying to kill Lu Ming. Whoosh! A terrifying sword light bloomed from the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's hand. The giant hand collapsed, and the Silver Dragon Valley Master retreated frantically. However, the sword light did not stop. Instead, it grew in the wind and turned into a sword light the size of a mountain, crushing toward the Silver Dragon Valley Master. And MBSP die. The master of Silver Dragon Valley bellowed in rage. His entire body was enshrouded in silver light as he kept punching. After at least 100 punches, he finally managed to block the sword light. However, there were a few more hideous sword wounds on his body. The master of Silver Dragon Valley spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. So strong. He's really strong. Many people's hearts trembled. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was too powerful. The Silver Dragon Valley Master and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master were both masters of the Dragon God Valley's 7 dragons. But they were not his match. Injung, next time, if you dare to attack my disciple again, I, Yun Ruoxu, will definitely kill you no matter what, Yun Ruoxu said. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's long hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were like 2 divine swords that stabbed at the Silver Dragon Valley Master. The master of Silver Dragon Valley had an extremely ugly face. Although he had endless killing intent, he didn't dare to continue. He had no doubt that if he really attacked Lu Ming again, Yun Ruoxu, that lunatic would really kill him. I'm taking Yin Feng's body with me, the master of Silver Dragon Valley said after a while. Take him away and get lost immediately. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master waved his sleeve, and NBSB, the master of Silver Dragon Valley, waved his hand and swept Yin Feng's body away. Then, without a word, he took a step forward and disappeared. At this moment, many people at the scene had complicated feelings. In the beginning, Yin Feng came menacingly and brought his men to kill Lu Ming. However, he did not expect to lose his life here. The world changed so quickly that no one could predict. Good kill. Some people roared in their hearts, only feeling very satisfied. Many people knew that Yin Feng used his power to bully others and did many evil things. However, Yin Feng's grandfather was the master of Silver Dragon Valley, the overlord of Dragon God Valley. Who would dare to say anything? He was angry but didn't dare to say anything. Now that he was killed, it was really satisfying. There were a few people who knew from the images in the memory crystal that their loved ones were also killed by Yin Feng. They were so excited that they were trembling. Your Dragon Punishment Hall should be properly reorganized. You've been used by Yin Feng. At that moment, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master glanced at the Dragon Punishment Hall Elder. The Dragon Punishment Palace Hall's elder immediately trembled with fear. He hurriedly said, Valley Master Yun is right. The Dragon Punishment Hall must be reorganized. Then, he turned his sharp eyes to the young men of the Dragon Punishment Palace and scolded. You guys apologize to Lu Ming. The young men were all trembling in fear as they hurriedly apologized to Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He did not care about these people at all and could not be bothered with them. There's also the Hall of Missions. Hee, very good. Now they even dare to tamper with the sex missions. It seems that many people don't take me seriously because I haven't unsheathed my sword for many years. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master sneered. He took a step forward and disappeared. Sorry to trouble you. Let's go back to the Dragon Punishment Palace. The Dragon Punishment Palace Hall's elder shouted loudly. Then, he led the Dragon Punishment Palace Hall's people and left the place. Soon, a shocking piece of news spread in Dragon God Valley. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had stormed into the mission hall in a fit of anger because of his disciple, Lu Ming. He had killed several deacons who had participated in Lu Ming's matter on the spot. If the Dragon God Valley Master had not arrived in time, the elder of the mission hall would have been killed by the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. In the end, it was the Dragon God Valley Master who smoothed things over, and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master finally gave up and left. After this incident, Cloud Dragon Valley had a new meaning in many people's hearts. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was too domineering and overbearing. He had injured the Valley Master of Silver Dragon Valley with a sword, killed several deacons in the mission hall, and even needed the Valley Master of Dragon God Valley to come forward to solve the problem. Many people now knew that the Cloud Dragon Valley Master was so powerful. Many of the older generation shook their heads and smiled bitterly. It would be a wonder if that lunatic wasn't strong. However, the madman's sword had not been unsheathed for many years. So many people had forgotten about the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. The Silver Dragon Valley Master deserved it for provoking the madman. It turned out that the madman's sword was not dull at all. Instead, it was sharper. Chapter 1491. 1491 The power of evil spirit in a cave abode deep within Cloud Dragon Valley. Lu Ming stood before the Valley Master. Ming, did you really meet the people from Evil Spirit? The Cloud Dragon Valley Master asked with a grave expression. That's right. His name is Elder Emohun. According to him, he was severely injured 80,000 years ago and has yet to recover. Otherwise, I would have been in danger. Lu Ming said. It must have been 80,000 years ago. Sigh, I didn't expect evil spirit to still have remnants. In addition to that, you met Dharma King Annihilating Soul in the Great Emperor Secret Realm. Is evil spirit religion going to rise again? The Cloud Dragon Valley Master sighed as his expression became more and more solemn. Lu Ming was surprised. Why did everyone look so shocked when they heard the name Evil Spirit? Even the Master of Silver Dragon Valley looked frightened. Even someone as strong as his master had such a grave expression. Master, what kind of force is Evil Spirit? What kind of force was it? Is he very strong? Lu Ming asked a few questions out of curiosity. Strong, of course he's strong. If he was at his peak, he could easily destroy the entire Azure continent. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said solemnly. He can easily destroy the entire Azure continent. Lu Ming was shocked. The Azure continent was home to 13 top-tier sects, each of which had unfathomable power. For example, Lu Ming could not tell how powerful the Dragon God Valley was, or how many powerhouses were hidden in the depths of the vast snow mountain. With so many powerful forces, Evil Spirit could easily destroy them. The peak of the Evil Spirit cult was 80,000 years ago. At that time, the Evil Spirit cult was extremely powerful. The Evil Spirit cult was the most famous. They had a cult leader and 2 deputy cult leaders. They were all the peak experts of the Yuan continent. In addition, there are 36 Guardian Kings and 360 elders. Their strength can be said to be terrifying to the extreme. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained. 36 Guardian Kings? Lu Ming's pupils constricted. He thought of Shakyamuni Annihilating Soul. Master, could it be that the Guardian Kings are all Great Emperor experts? Lu Ming felt that his voice was a little dry. Not bad, yes. The Origin Dragon Valley Master nodded. The Evil Spirit sect has 36 Guardian Kings, all of whom are peerless experts at the Great Emperor level. The 360 elders are all powerful existences in the Saint Realm. Lu Ming gasped in shock. Evil Spirit's strength far exceeded his imagination. There were actually 36 Great Emperor-level Guardian Kings, as well as a sect leader and 2 vice-sect leaders. This kind of strength was truly terrifying to the extreme. Destroying the Azure continent would be as easy as turning over his hand. Did he actually offend such a powerful force? Lu Ming smiled bitterly. The key is that the Evil Spirit cult was born in a very mysterious way. It seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Then, the experts in the Evil Spirit cult also seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Their power expanded rapidly and shook the entire Yuan continent. Moreover, Evil Spirit has a terrifying goal. Their goal is to kill other great emperors and those peerless geniuses who have the potential to become great emperors. 80,000 years ago, they caused a storm of blood in the Yuan continent. The Valley Master said, specifically hunting great emperors and peerless geniuses with the potential to become great emperors? Lu Ming's heart trembled, but he was puzzled. Master, why did Evil Spirit do this? I don't know. No one knows why Evil Spirit is doing this. Perhaps some great emperor-level figures know, but they just haven't announced it. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master shook his head and said, thus, Evil Spirit caused all the forces in Yuan continent to panic. In the end, countless forces, big and small, joined forces to besiege Evil Spirit. According to the records, that battle was extremely tragic. Countless saints died in battle, even many emperors. But in the end, Evil Spirit was completely annihilated and disappeared from the world. Lu Ming was silent for a long time after hearing the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's words. Evil Spirit was definitely a terrifying force. They specifically killed great emperors, and those with great emperor potential. He finally knew why so many people were so frightened when they heard the name of Evil Spirit. Lu Ming thought of many things. He was reminded of his encounter in the Emperor Tsong mystic realm. Emperor Tsong had disappeared 60,000 years ago. The truth was that Shakyamuni Annihilating Soul had entered the Emperor Tsong's secret realm. Judging from the time, Evil Spirit cult had already been exterminated. However, it was obvious that Shakyamuni Annihilating Soul did not die. He had entered the Emperor Tsong's secret realm and fought against Emperor Tsong for 60,000 years. Since Shakyamuni annihilating soul was not dead and Elder Emohun had also survived, did evil spirit cult have any other experts who had survived? After 80,000 years, would evil spirit be revived? A wisp of Elder Emohun's soul escaped and told Lu Ming to wait for evil spirit's revenge. Was evil spirit going to reappear in the world again? Lu Ming felt a strong pressure on his body. It would be strange if he didn't feel any pressure when facing such a terrifying force. Minger, go back and cultivate. I'll report the matter of evil spirit to the Valley Master and have him inform the other sects for a discussion. Finally, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master instructed. Disciple will take his leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cave abode, returning to his own cave abode. After returning to his cave abode, Lu Ming meditated to regulate his breathing. He then took out a pile of raw gemstones and began to devour and refine them. Now that his chaos domain had broken through to level 3, as long as he continued to refine the raw gemstones, his cultivation would improve. For the next few days, Lu Ming cultivated in seclusion and refined the rough stone. His cultivation level was improving by leaps and bounds. From the early stage of the second-level Martial Emperor realm, to the middle stage of the second-level Martial Emperor realm, then the late stage, the peak. 7 days later, Lu Ming's cultivation broke through and entered the third level of the Martial Royal realm. At this moment, Lu Ming finally stopped devouring the refined raw stone. Next, he should focus on comprehending the chaos domain. Lu Ming did not dare to waste any time. In the Yuan continent, he really felt that his cultivation level was too low. He had to improve his cultivation as soon as possible. However, comprehending the chaos domain wasn't something that could be done overnight. He first had to go to the Treasure Dragon Palace to exchange for some treasures. Lu Ming left the cave abode and headed for the Treasure Dragon Hall. Soon, he arrived at the Treasure Dragon Hall and went to the counter where he exchanged for the Myriad Spirit Liquid and Dragon Bones. Senior, do you still remember me? Lu Ming smiled and greeted him. It's you, little fellow. Are you here to exchange for treasures again? The old man at the counter said with a smile. He had a deep impression of Lu Ming. After all, not every first-level martial emperor could have 2 million contribution points. Senior, I need to exchange some treasures for contribution points first. Lu Ming said. Oh, let's take a look. The old man laughed. Lu Ming passed a storage ring to the old man. Lu Ming used his spiritual senses to scan and raised his eyebrows. You're amazing, little guy. A sword saint weapon and 5 king spiritual weapons. Lu Ming smiled and nodded. The bright saint weapons and emperor spiritual weapons in the storage ring were all from Emohi's storage ring. They were of no use to Lu Ming. He might as well exchange them. Chapter 1492. 1492 Chapter 1492, Exchanging Treasures. A bright saint weapon. It's an ordinary bright saint weapon, worth 1 million contribution points. 5 king weapons are worth 50,000 contribution points, so the total is 1,050,000 contribution points. Little guy, give me your identity token, the old man said. Lu Ming passed his identity token to the elder. In the next moment 1.05 million contribution points appeared in his identity token. In addition to the 50,000 contribution points he had left, he had a total of 1 million contribution points. Little guy, what kind of treasure do you want to exchange? The old man asked. Senior, are there any glove-type saint weapons here? Lu Ming asked. Had always wanted to buy a holy weapon in the glove category. This would be a great boost for his close combat skills. In Dragon God Valley, due to the bloodline, there are many people who practice fist, palm, and finger techniques. They need many glove-type weapons, so there are no glove-type saint weapons in Treasure Dragon Palace for the time being. Furthermore, the forging process for glove-type saint weapons is much more complicated and difficult, so they're 2 to 3 times more expensive than ordinary saint weapons. The old man shook his head and explained. So expensive? Lu Ming smiled bitterly. It was 2 to 3 times more expensive than a normal saint weapon. Even if the Treasure Dragon Palace had one, they wouldn't be able to afford it. Lu Ming shook his head. He could only think of a way to obtain a holy weapon like a glove in the future. He would exchange for something else first. Senior, I would like to exchange for some mystical materials, such as purple flame crystal, dragon carp, fire spiritual root. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Lu Ming listed out the 7 main ingredients needed to refine the Nirvana elixir. This was the Yuan continent, so he might be able to collect those materials. In the future, when he had the chance to return to the Divine Wilderness continent, he could refine the Nirvana elixir, which would be of great use. Little fellow, are you trying to refine the Nirvana pill? The old man said. Lu Ming was shocked. This old man also knew about the Nirvana pill. Furthermore, he knew about the Nirvana pill the moment Lu Ming mentioned a few mystical materials. Could it be that he also had the pill formula of the Nirvana pill? Little fellow, you might as well directly exchange for Nirvana pills instead of these materials. The old man continued. Directly exchange for Nirvana pills? There's Nirvana pills to exchange here? Lu Ming could not help asking. Haha, of course. Nirvana pills are not precious. Almost every sect in the Yuanlu continent has them. Even many small families and small forces have them. They can be used to improve the bloodline level of some juniors and enhance their talent. The old man laughed. Lu Ming was speechless. The Nirvana elixir, which he regarded as a treasure, was actually a common item in the Yuan continent. It made sense. There were too many geniuses in the Yuan continent. For a big sect like Dragon God Valley, the minimum standard for recruiting disciples was to awaken 9th level divine bloodline. Many who had awakened 9th level divine bloodline could not even join a big sect like Dragon God Valley. Therefore, Nirvana pills were not a rare pill in the Yuan continent. Lu Ming speculated that the formula for the Nirvana elixir that he obtained in the Divine Wilderness continent was most likely brought back from the Yuan continent by some emperor. It was common in the Yuan continent, but in the Divine Wilderness continent it was priceless. Senior, I'll exchange for the Nirvana elixir then. I wonder how many contribution points it costs. Lu Ming asked. 10,000 medium-grade raw stones for one, which is 100 contribution points for one, the old man said. So cheap. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he smiled bitterly in his heart. In the Divine Wilderness continent, Nirvana elixirs that all the factions would go crazy for were really cheap here. An emperor weapon could be exchanged for 100 of them. Senior, I'll exchange for 1,000 pills. Do you have any? Lu Ming said. If he brought 1,000 of them back to the Divine Wilderness continent, how many geniuses would the Dragon Alliance produce? Yes, I have a lot of Nirvana pills. The old man smiled, took out a storage ring and handed it to Lu Ming. With a thought, a jade bottle appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It contained Nirvana pills. Judging from the quality, it was much better than the ones he had refined in the past. This kind of Nirvana pill can raise a person's bloodline by 3 to 4 levels, or even more. The old man explained. Lu Ming's heart was burning with passion. He really hoped that he could immediately fly back to the Divine Wilderness continent and give these Nirvana pills to his family and friends. Lu Ming could not help but sigh. The cultivation level of the Divine Wilderness continent was far inferior to that of the Yuan continent. In the Divine Wilderness continent, it was a supreme treasure. In the Yuan continent, it was very likely to be a common item. Lu Ming kept the Nirvana elixir. The contribution points on his identity token were reduced by 100,000 contribution points, leaving him with 1 million contribution points. Senior, I would like to exchange for 50 kilograms of Myriad spirit liquid. Lu Ming thought for a moment and decided to exchange his remaining contribution points for the Myriad spirit liquid. He had wanted to exchange for a space-breaking flying shuttle, but after asking around, he found out that the price of a space-breaking flying shuttle was even more shocking. He couldn't afford it at all. He might as well buy all the Myriad spirit liquid to water the ancient tree of comprehension and let it grow. During his trip to the wasteland of death, he saw the Titan longhorn beetle sitting cross-legged under the Path Understanding ancient tree. The Path Understanding ancient tree had left a deep impression on Lu Ming. It was as high as the sky, covering the sky and covering the sun. On the branches the great Tao curled up. If one sat down and cultivated, comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth, the effect would definitely be amazing. That was the true path understanding ancient tree. Lu Ming's current path understanding ancient tree could not be compared to it. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. He hoped that one day, he would be able to cultivate the path understanding ancient tree to such a scale. So much Myriad spirit liquid. The old man was surprised. What's wrong? You don't have any? Lu Ming said. Yes, I'm just a little surprised. Wait for me for a moment. The old man left the counter and returned not long later. He gave Lu Ming a storage ring with 10 bottles of Myriad spirit liquid in it. In total they weighed exactly 50 kilograms. Lu Ming received it in joy. The contribution points on the identity token had become 0. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He was really poor. Since he had exchanged the treasures he needed, Lu Ming returned to Cloud Dragon Valley. Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram after he returned to the cave abode. On the peak of a mountain, the path understanding ancient tree swayed and released waves of heavenly Tao aura. Pao Pao lay under the path understanding ancient tree, her body emitting a milky white radiance. The space around her body rippled like water. Ever since Bubbles had obtained the time and space spinel from the Titan longhorn beetle, her cultivation base had improved by leaps and bounds. He had already broken through to the 3rd level of the martial royal realm a few days ago, and now he was trying to break through to the 4th level. Lu Ming smiled, and his gaze fell on the path understanding ancient tree again. After this period of time, the path understanding ancient tree had grown a lot. It had already grown 2 side branches. On it, there were more than 10 tender green leaves. Although it couldn't be compared to the path understanding ancient tree of the Titan Deva, it had grown many times more than when it had first arrived in the Yuan continent. Lu Ming took out a jade bottle and poured 5 kilograms of Myriad spirit liquid on the root of the ancient path understanding tree. Lu Ming then exited the mountain and river diagram. After exiting the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming left his cave abode and headed deep into the Cloud Dragon Valley. Lu Ming's target was the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's Library, where he could find his cultivation experience. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's Library. There were many books in the library. Lu Ming picked some important books and started reading. Chapter 1493. 1493 Chapter 1493 Sky-high floating platform. For the next 10 days or so, Lu Ming stayed in the library and flipped through the books. He carefully read through the cultivation insights left behind by the Cloud Dragon Valley Master, which gave Lu Ming a lot of inspiration. After that, Lu Ming returned to the cave abode. A piece of heavenly Tao stone floated above Lu Ming's head. He was immersed in a deep state of enlightenment. The heavenly Tao stone would slowly become smaller and smaller as the martial artist comprehended it, and finally disappear. After a few days, when a heavenly Tao stone had disappeared, Lu Ming changed to another heavenly Tao stone. Lu Ming was immersed in cultivation. Of course, Lu Ming did not blindly comprehend the chaos realm. Every day, he would spend time cultivating the godly sword technique. The divine sword technique could strengthen one's soul and increase the power of soul attacks. Lu Ming would not miss out on this secret skill. It would be of great help to him if he cultivated it to a high level. In addition, Lu Ming did not forget about the 13 accumulated power strikes and the Chaos Sky Turning Seal. He would cultivate them every day. Time flew by, and 3 months passed in a flash. On this day, Lu Ming stopped cultivating. The Chaos Domain is indeed very difficult to cultivate. It's too slow to improve. Lu Ming sighed. After 3 months of non-stop cultivation using the Heavenly Tao Stone, his primal Chaos Domain had not even reached the peak of the 3rd grade, much less the 4th grade. One should know that this was aided by the Heavenly Tao Stone. The Heavenly Tao Stone was so precious that even Sage Realm experts would yearn for it. Other martial emperors and martial artists could not have a treasure like the Heavenly Tao Stone to assist in their cultivation at all, unless they were the top geniuses of a certain sect. However, they could also be like Lu Ming, using the Heavenly Tao Stone to cultivate all the time. In 3 months, he had used up nearly 30 heavenly Tao stones, but his chaos domain had yet to reach the peak of the 3rd level. It was clear how difficult it was to cultivate the chaos domain. As the level of the chaos domain increased, the difficulty of cultivation would also increase. Previously, he had been able to improve so quickly because he had refined 3 royal fruits and watched the battle between the Titan-devouring bull and the 3-eyed creature. Now that he was cultivating normally, his progress was slower. Other than the chaos realm, he had made rapid progress in other areas. Lu Ming had cultivated the 13 accumulated power strikes to the 5th level. When he struck out with the spear, there were 10 layers of explosive power. The power was shocking, and it had become Lu Ming's strongest attack, besides the Chaos Sky-turning seal. It was even stronger than when he used the prison-suppressing heavenly art. It also changed Lu Ming's attack methods. The Chaos Sky-turning seal had also improved. It had been cultivated to the 3rd level. Other than being more powerful, Lu Ming was also more comfortable with using it. The godly sword technique was also progressing very quickly. Lu Ming's soul had been condensed by the world refinement bell of tribulation, and was dozens of times stronger than ordinary people. It was very suitable for him to cultivate the soul attack technique. After this period of cultivation, not only did Lu Ming's soul force become stronger, but the attack power of the divine sword technique was also rapidly increasing. Its power was shocking. Lu Du was very satisfied with the improvements in these aspects. It was just that the improvement of the chaos domain was too slow. I can't cultivate like this. I have to speed up my cultivation. I heard that the sacred cultivation ground in Dragon God Valley, the sky-connecting floating platform, can help people comprehend the heavenly Tao and cultivate their domain. Let's go and have a look. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and planned to make a trip to the sky-connecting floating platform. For a big sect like Dragon God Valley, there were many wonderful places that could help people cultivate. The sky-reaching floating platform was such a holy land for cultivation. It was extremely famous in Dragon God Valley. The disciples of Dragon God Valley only needed to pay the raw stones to enter. Lu Ming left the Cloud Dragon Valley and flew towards the depths of the snow mountain. Soon Lu Ming landed in front of a canyon. The sky-connecting floating platform was in the middle of a few big snow mountains. 2 of the snow mountains formed a canyon passage. If one wanted to enter the sky-connecting floating platform, they had to go through this passage. Stop! Just as Lu Ming was about to enter the passageway, he was blocked by a few young men. What is the meaning of this? Lu Ming frowned slightly and asked. As far as he knew, the passage in front of the sky-connecting floating platform was unguarded. Only after entering the passage would there be people guarding and paying raw stones. The sky-reaching floating platform has been reserved by people from my Silver Dragon Valley and Blood Dragon Valley. You can come back after a while. One of the young men sneered. Reserved by Silver Dragon Valley and Blood Dragon Valley? The sky-reaching floating platform is the cultivation holy land of the Dragon God Valley. It is open to all disciples of the 7 valleys of the Dragon God Valley. I have never heard that it belongs to any of the Dragon Valleys. Move, Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, what are you doing? If I say it's all reserved, then it's all reserved. A young man blocked Lu Ming's way and said, You know me? Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The few young men had cold expressions on their faces as they sneered. Buzz! Buzz! At this moment 2 young men appeared. They were wearing long white robes with an ice dragon embroidered on it. They were the disciples of Ice Dragon Valley. The 2 Ice Dragon Valley disciples didn't have anyone to stop them. They directly entered the passage and disappeared. Lu Ming frowned and said, Didn't you say that the sky-reaching floating platform has been reserved by the Silver Dragon Valley and the Blood Dragon Valley? How can the people of Ice Dragon Valley enter? A few young men blocked Lu Ming's way. They had mocking smiles in their eyes, but did not say a word. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. The other party was probably deliberately making things difficult for him. Judging from their clothes, these people were obviously disciples of Silver Dragon Valley. He had killed Yin Feng in front of the master of Silver Dragon Valley, which made him an enemy of Silver Dragon Valley. However, he had never seen these people before, but they could recognize him at a glance. Lu Ming could not help but think of many things. Could it be that the master of Silver Dragon Valley was controlling the situation and had sent someone to guard the place so that Lu Ming could not enter the sky-connecting floating platform to cultivate? At the thought of this, a sharp glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He then took a step forward. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 Silver Dragon Valley young men burst out with a powerful aura. All of them were at the peak of the LV4 Martial Royal Realm. Stop right there. One of the young men shouted coldly, and 3 waves of pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. At this moment, a few more people came over. Seeing this situation, they couldn't help but stop to watch. That's Lu Ming. Those people are disciples of Silver Dragon Valley. This is going to be a good show. A few months ago, Lu Ming killed Yin Feng in front of the master of Silver Dragon Valley, which infuriated him. I heard that after the master returned to Silver Dragon Valley, he gathered all the young disciples of Silver Dragon Valley and sent out a message to ask them to take good care of Lu Ming when they meet him outside. The few people who were watching were discussing in low voices. Although their voices were soft, Lu Ming could still hear them clearly. Lu Ming's gaze turned colder. The master of Silver Dragon Valley was the master of a valley. His grandson had committed heinous crimes. Not only was he not disciplined, but he had also tried to slander Lu Ming and was killed by him. Now, he actually incited a disciple of Silver Dragon Valley to deal with Lu Ming behind his back. He was despicable, shameless, and extremely shameless. He was afraid of the master of Cloud Dragon Valley and didn't dare to make a move, but he let the younger generation of Silver Dragon Valley do it. Chapter 1494. 1494. Deliberately looking for trouble. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning. A powerful aura emanated from his body and crushed the auras of the 3 Silver Dragon Valley youths. Get lost! Then Lu Ming roared. With this roar, Lu Ming used the Divine Sword technique. An invisible wave surged towards the 3 of them and directly blasted into their spiritual gods. At this moment, the spiritual gods of the 3 of them trembled violently, as if they had been hit by a hurricane. At the same time, in their eyes, Lu Ming seemed to have turned into a prehistoric giant beast, and a terrifying aura pressed down on them. Their bodies trembled violently, and with a loud cry, they actually fell to the ground, their bodies drenched in cold sweat. On the side, a few onlookers were somewhat dumbfounded. Lu Ming's roar made the 3 Silver Dragon Valley youths fall to the ground. It was unbelievable. Of course, they didn't know that it was because of the miraculous godly sword technique. The main purpose of the godly sword technique was to increase one's soul power, and then use it to launch an attack. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming had already cultivated the divine sword technique to an invisible state. With a loud shout, the divine sword technique was activated, and it directly attacked the soul of the opponent. It was invisible and extremely mysterious. The 3 Silver Dragon Valley young men's spiritual gods were attacked by Lu Ming. Their spiritual gods trembled, and they even had an illusion. They thought that they had seen a prehistoric giant beast. Their bodies and minds were shaken, and they fell to the ground. After a long while, the 3 of them finally reacted. Damn it, Lu Ming! What sorcery did you use just now? I'm going to cripple you. The young man in the middle shouted, his face flushed red. The other 2 young men were in a similar state. It was too embarrassing. They were so frightened by Lu Ming's roar that they sat on the ground. If this were to spread, they would definitely become a laughingstock and be laughed at. They blamed everything on Lu Ming. The 3 of them roared and charged at Lu Ming with a burst of vital essence. Get lost! Lu Ming roared again. This shout not only contained the divine sword technique's attack, but also powerful vital essence. The vital essence formed a storm and blasted out. After reaching the martial royal realm, the higher the level of the spirit body, not only would the spirit body become stronger, but also the vital essence would become more robust and condensed. For a martial royal realm martial artist, the improvement of his cultivation was the joint improvement of his true essence and spirit body. Therefore, true essence and spirit body complemented each other. Otherwise, a spirit body with a high level wouldn't have such a strong combat power. The higher the level of the spirit body, the higher the level of the Zhen Yuan. With Lu Ming's current cultivation and medium-grade earth spiritual body, he could naturally crush his opponent with his essential core. As soon as the 3 Silver Dragon Valley young men pounced, they were hit by the godly sword technique. Their spiritual souls trembled violently, and they felt a tearing pain. Then they were hit by Lu Ming's vital essence. They wailed and spat out blood. Their bodies flew backward and fell heavily on the ground. The surrounding people gasped in shock. The 3 young men of the Silver Dragon Valley were sitting on the ground after the shout. Now, with a loud shout, the 3 of them were seriously injured and flew back while spitting blood. This was too shocking. Lu Ming cast a cold glance at the 3 of them and strode into the passage. The 3 Silver Dragon Valley young men struggled to get up after Lu Ming had left. Their eyes were filled with fear. Then they walked into the passage. After walking through the passageway, there was a counter at the entrance, and it was guarded. This place was the real guardian. 200,000 mid-grade raw stones are required to get on the sky-connecting floating platform once. One of the people at the counter said. Lu Ming nodded and submitted 200,000 medium-grade raw stones. He then stepped in and looked ahead. A shocking scene was reflected in Lu Ming's eyes. This place was in the middle of a few snowy mountains, forming a huge kernel. The area was very wide. In front of him, there were stone platforms floating in the air. There were a total of 36 rows, and each row was slanted upward. Every 100 meters, there was a stone platform floating in the air. Just like that, there were 13 stone platforms that extended into the void. This was the sky-reaching floating platform. In short, it had a total of 36 rows, and each row had 13 stone platforms. Each of them was 100 meters apart and extended into the void. At this moment, there were already some figures sitting cross-legged on some of the stone platforms. Only one person could enter each row at a time. Lu Ming saw that some people were sitting cross-legged on the 3rd stone platform, some were sitting cross-legged on the 4th stone platform, and some were on the 5th stone platform. On the stone platform, there were dense inscriptions that covered the person sitting cross-legged. Some people stood below and watched. It was said that the sky-reaching floating platform was created by the founder of the Dragon God Valley. It was very magical. When a person sat on it, his spirit would escape into the endless void. There was a battlefield opened by the Dragon God Valley's founder. In it, there were heavenly beasts formed by the laws of the heavenly path. When warriors fought with them, they could comprehend the heavenly path, domain, and even the laws. With every stone platform, the corresponding difficulty level would increase. Lu Ming walked forward casually. A few young men were watching. At that moment, they all looked at Lu Ming, their eyes gleaming. At this moment, the 3 Silver Dragon Valley youths who were injured by Lu Ming's shout walked in and whispered something to the other youths. The other youths' eyes gleamed even more. This Lu Ming is getting more and more arrogant with the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's support. Oh, go and meet him. A silver bubble youth said coldly. He then strode toward Lu Ming. You are Lu Ming? The silver bubble youth said coldly. That's right. What's the matter? Lu Ming replied casually. You should come to the sky-connecting floating platform to cultivate as well. However, judging from your cultivation, you're only at LV3 Martial Royal Realm. I'm afraid you won't be able to break through many stone platforms. What a waste of the raw gemstones. The silver-robed youth said, his tone carrying a hint of ridicule. You don't have to worry about how many stone platforms I can set foot on, and whether I'll waste the raw gemstones. Besides, you're only at the LV5 Martial Emperor realm. You might not be able to set foot on more stone platforms than me. Lu Ming said indifferently. Not as much as you. Ridiculous. Lu Ming, I think you're too arrogant. You're just a little talented, but you don't know how high the sky is. There are countless geniuses in this world. There are many more in Dragon God Valley who are more talented than you. The silver-robed youth sneered. Oh, so you're saying that your talent is very strong? I wonder if you dare to bet with me with your LV5 Martial Royal Realm cultivation? Lu Ming said. Bet? How do we bet? The silver-robed youth's eyes flashed. Let's bet on which of us can reach the higher stone platform. Lu Ming said. You want to bet on this with me? Fine, I'll agree to it. What's the bet? The silver-robed youth immediately agreed without any hesitation. There were a total of 13 stone platforms that extended into the sky. Each of them corresponded to a level 1 territory. The first stone platform was equivalent to a level 1 territory. The second stone platform was equivalent to a level 2 territory, and so on. Lu Ming was only at the third level of the martial royal realm, and had a third-level territory. No matter how strong his territory was, it was already not bad that he could step onto the fourth stone platform. He, on the other hand, was a LV5 martial royal realm expert, but his territory had reached level 6. He could step onto the sixth stone platform to cultivate. Lu Ming could only defeat him if he could step onto the seventh stone platform. However, it was impossible for someone with a third-level domain to step onto the seventh stone platform. Therefore, he was sure to win. How could he not agree? Chapter 1495. 1495. The Heavenly Way mutant beast. From his point of view, Lu Ming must have never been to the sky-connecting floating platform before, and did not know the mystery of it. That was why he made the bet with him. How about 500,000 SEC contribution points? Lu Ming said. 500,000 SEC contribution points. The silver-robed young man's heart trembled. Then his eyes burst into flames and revealed a greedy look. All right, I agree. Junior brothers, senior brothers, please be our witnesses. The silver-robed youth called out. The silver-robed young man shouted, and the young men who were watching from below the stone platform looked over. Some of them walked over. The few people who were with the silver-robed youth also walked over. What witness? Someone asked. Everyone, this person is called Lu Ming. The silver-robed young man pointed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming? So it's him. He is Lu Ming. Some people blurted out. Lu Ming was very famous now. At the entrance of Cloud Dragon Valley, he had killed Yin Feng in front of the master of Silver Dragon Valley and injured him. Later on, the master of Cloud Dragon Valley had even killed several deacons of the Hall of Missions. This had shocked the entire Dragon God Valley. All of this was because of Lu Ming. Lu Ming's name became well known to many people. At that moment, they all looked at Lu Ming curiously. Junior brother Lu Ming, you want to make a bet with me? You want to bet on who will get to the higher stone platform. The bet is 500,000 contribution points. Is that right, junior brother Lu Ming? The silver-robed youth asked. What? The others were shocked by his words. They looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. Lu Ming actually wanted to make a bet with the silver-robed young man, and the bet was 500,000 contribution points. With Lu Ming's cultivation base, he would definitely lose in a bet with the silver-robed young man. The stone-stepping platform did not judge one's combat strength, but one's territory. The higher the level of the domain, the more powerful it was, and the higher the platform could be. Did Lu Ming have so many contribution points that he had nowhere to use them? The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. The silver-robed young man was afraid that Lu Ming would go back on his word, so he had gathered these people to bear witness. However, this was exactly what Lu Ming wanted. Yes, that's true. Lu Ming nodded. All right, Lu Ming has agreed. We can be witnesses. A young man who was with the silver-robed young man was the first to shout. The others also nodded, indicating that they could bear witness. Junior brother Lu Ming, let's start, the silver-robed youth said, somewhat impatient, afraid that a long night would bring more trouble. All right, Lu Ming smiled. The two of them chose two stone platforms that were close to each other. These stone platforms kept going up, and there was no one else. Bang! Bang! The two of them jumped onto the first stone platform almost at the same time. Then, they sat down cross-legged at the same time. The stone platform glowed and dense inscriptions appeared, covering the two of them. The first function of this inscription was to allow one's mind to escape into the unfathomable void. The second function was to prevent others from attacking. It had a defensive function, although there was a rule in Dragon God Valley that no one was allowed to attack others on the floating platform, or they would be severely punished. There might be people who would take the risk. Therefore, this inscription played a very good defensive role. When the runes covered Lu Ming's entire body, he felt that his spirit, or rather his soul, had been drawn out of his body. The space around him flitted past like a fleeting shadow. In the next moment, Lu Ming realized that he had arrived at a land of chaos. The surroundings were vast and boundless. However, Lu Ming realized that the aura of the great Tao here was extremely rich. If he cultivated here, the effects would be at least 10 times better. Is this the battlefield of the heavenly law created by the ancestors of Dragon God Valley? Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Roar! Suddenly there was a loud roar. In front of them, a strange beast appeared. This strange beast was filled with the aura of the great Tao. Heavenly Way Mutant Beast. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Roar! 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 Following that, loud roars were heard one after another, as Heavenly Path mutant beasts formed one after another. These Heavenly Tao beasts came in different forms. Some were in the form of a tiger, some were in the form of a wolf, and some were in the form of a snake. All of them had a golden mark on their foreheads. Heavenly Tao imprint. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a bright light. In the Heaven Path battlefield, as long as this kind of strange beast was killed, the mark of Heaven Path between its eyebrows would be absorbed by the warrior. He could directly comprehend the Heaven Path and comprehend the domain. It was extremely wonderful. With a series of loud roars, at least 5 or 6 beasts of the heavenly law pounced at Lu Ming. Condense! The chaos domain spread out and began to shrink. Finally, it turned into a long spear that Lu Ming held in his hand. In the heavenly law battlefield, all weapons and vital essence couldn't be used, because one's mind was in it. The only thing that could be used was the territory. Whoosh! He thrust his spear forward, and a beam of spear light streaked across the vast space, killing a Heavenly Path mutant beast. Then, the spear swept across, and 5 or 6 beasts of heavenly law were defeated at the same time. The Heavenly Way mutant beasts were defeated and dissipated into Heavenly Way energy. However, the Heavenly Way mark between their brows emitted a golden glow and flew into Lu Ming's body before disappearing. Roar! 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 Their roars were like thunder. More Heavenly Path mutant beasts appeared and charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the spear condensed by the chaos domain and charged forward. With a shake of the spear, more than 10 spear shadows streaked across the sky, killing more than 10 beasts of the Heavenly Way. This was the first floating platform. The Heavenly Way exotic beast that appeared had the power of a first-level territory. To Lu Ming, it was not difficult at all. Very soon, Lu Ming had killed a total of 108 beasts of the Heavenly Way, but no more beasts appeared. At this moment, Lu Ming felt his body tighten. The next moment, he realized that he had returned to his physical body on the sky-connecting floating platform. Yes, the Heavenly Tao imprint. Lu Ming sensed and realized that there were 108 golden, Heavenly Tao marks in his mind. Amazing, this is really amazing. Lu Ming sighed with emotion. Then, he closed his eyes and refined these Heavenly Path imprints. His body began to emit a faint golden radiance. On the floating platform next to Lu Ming, the silver-robed young man opened his eyes and glanced at Lu Ming. He sneered and began to refine the Heavenly Tao mark. 10 minutes later, the silver-robed young man stood up, and the runes covering his body automatically retreated and disappeared. The silver-robed young man cast a disdainful look at Lu Ming, who was still refining. He took a step forward and crossed 100 meters. He appeared on the second floating platform and sat cross-legged. At the same time, dense runes appeared on the second floating platform and enveloped his body. Lu Ming continued to stay on the first floating platform. Half an hour later, Lu Ming felt that the Heavenly Tao mark that he had just obtained had been completely refined. The chaos domain has indeed strengthened by a notch. It's comparable to 7 days of bitter cultivation. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. He was shocked by the effect of the sky-high floating platform. All the time he had just spent did not even add up to an hour, but the effect was comparable to a normal 7 days of bitter cultivation. Such an effect was indeed shocking. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.